Well, well, well. Hello, hello. Welcome to day 51. Wow. It's a bit anticlimactic because it doesn't sound cool. Day 50, now what a number there, right? We hit some milestones with that one. Day 51, you know, it is what it is, but thank you guys for being here. Hello, Nico. Thank you for being the first to say something in the chat. You know what that means? I owe you some PPs, and we mean the PG type. So let me get you some of them prize pixels to Nico. Let's that in. What is it? I think 300 is what we've been saying. So 857 PPs. Good on you, mates, for having 857 PP. Welcome, guys. Okay, hold on one second. As usual, everything, when I start off the stream, everything is like off, and I have to get myself ready. Welcome, guys, to day 51, though. What's the game plan for today? I'm not sure. I mean, it's probably going to be a little bit of the same. Let's be real. Let me just set up these fans. I bought 2 little mini fans. Oh my god. I mentioned it from the other day, but this is one of them. This thing is so amazing because I overheat so quickly. And especially, you know, if you think about the setup where you got this key light over here, a bunch of other lights just pointing at your face. It heats you up quickly. So whatever I can use to cool me down. Hopefully you guys don't hear the sound from the fan into the mic. Hello, Tebow Angel. Nala says hi. So just in time. Hello, Tebow. Welcome from my cats. One of them is chilling. Oh yeah, they're there. Look, the whole crew is here finally. Oh, Kimpop, look at you. Can I? Oh, did I miss? I missed. Look at you, Kimpop. Yes, we're all here on day 51. But yes, hello Tebow. Hello Nico. Welcome everyone. We are gonna get started on a nice productive day. We do need to be productive, as much as I like just being here for fun. Isn't that right, Nala? Isn't that right? Yeah. We're trying to be productive. We have a few deliverables, and we have a few projects coming up that I want to prepare myself for. And that does mean that these streams are a bit shorter. So if you've been watching my streams from in the past, you probably would have gotten accustomed to the fact that I was live for usually 7 to 8 hours every day. Since I've come back from this project where we shot with the Nikon ZR, I did have to take kind of a bit of a break, or I have to at least do shorter streams because there's so much I need to catch up on in terms of other projects. Because unfortunately, just because I was away for a shoot for 2 weeks did not mean that the world stood still for me. I am not the center of the world, unfortunately. So yeah, you'll be seeing less of me in the coming days as I try to juggle a bunch of work off stream. But when I am on stream, we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. So maybe this is a good time. Let me switch over. There we go. Okay, so what is the game plan today? The game plan is we're going to keep talking about the new Nikon ZR. I am very, very fortunate to have had this opportunity. Like literally, I mean, if you think about it, if you've been following me, I am a small-time content creator, right? We don't even have 10K on YouTube. We started YouTube about a year ago. And so I do appreciate everyone who's been a part of that process. Hopefully you guys enjoy all the content that I've been making. But yes, we're a small-time YouTuber. We started off on Instagram, and even on Instagram, you know, it's like a modest following and whatnot, but not necessarily someone that I would consider a quote-unquote influencer. So for Nikon to reach out to me to be a part of this opportunity was definitely a really, really cool thing to have happen. I'm very grateful. So what is that opportunity? It was the fact that I got to actually shoot with the Nikon ZR prior to the launch, test it out, and hopefully create some content with it. So as part of that, I decided go big or go home. So I didn't have I didn't have many days to shoot with the actual camera. And it's a pre-production unit, so there's a lot of things where it's like, you never know, right? What quality you're gonna get. But yeah, I basically just pitched an idea where I said, I would like to create a documentary film. Have you ever made a documentary film before? Nope, not at all. Not whatsoever, nope. But you want to make one? Yeah, I think it'd be a fun challenge. Why not? You think you'll do a good job? You know? Why not? So yeah, it was a little bit of a leap of faith, I would say, that I wanted to, at the very least, there was a place that I'd heard about called Ngamba Island Chimpanzee Sanctuary. And it's an island 45 minutes from the coast of Entebbe in Uganda. And I've been to Uganda a number of times now. It's my favorite country I've traveled to. I've been there now, I think 5 times. And I've been fortunate enough to also take people with me. So I've taken clients on photography tours. I took a honeymoon couple out there as well. And so, yeah, I've grown to fall in love with this country and all that it has to offer. and someone I met who she's pretty senior, I guess, in the tourism business, or like the tourism department in Uganda. She was also the former executive director at this island sanctuary. I just happened to do a gorilla trek with her, and so I got to meet her on the trek, and we exchanged numbers and we kept in touch, given especially the fact that I was trying to travel there more often. And I reached out to her to see, hey, what do you think if I were to go to the island sanctuary for a few days? What do you think it's like a good location to try to film a documentary style, blah, blah, just trying to get some more information. And she was very considerate and, connected the dots so that I could head off to the island for a few days. So anyways, sorry, I'm like oversharing as per usual. But anyways, the point is that I pitched a concept where I wanted to film a documentary about the island sanctuary, the island itself, and the chimpanzees and the people that inhabit the island, and what is their mission? What's the value? What's going on this island? So that was essentially it. That was like the high level, and then I just spent a lot of time just researching behind the scenes to figure out how do you make a short film? What is a documentary? Like all that kind of stuff. I literally was starting from scratch. I had zero knowledge in this space. So I quickly read up on as much as I could about like how do you do interviews properly for documentaries, what kind of lighting equipment should I bring, all of that. And we ended up filming there for just under, I think, like 3 days or so, if that. So very, very quick trip, and the whole time I was just filming, trying to get accustomed to this new camera I've never played with before, and then hopefully, like just hoping, right, that the shots that I'm taking, everything is good quality, so that hopefully whatever I create, it will be impressive. That was the hope, right? You never know. Like for all I know, this camera could be complete garbage, and then if that's the case, well then there you go. We'll make a review and talk about all the things that it can improve. But luckily, the camera was fantastic. I have so much positive things to say about it. And anyways, we ended up making the film. And let me go ahead and share the promo, !promo. If you are new to the stream, if you have not checked out this video, I do hope if you've got 5 minutes, I do hope you'll check out this video. It is my first attempt at making a documentary. It's only 5 minutes, and it's something that I truly feel proud of. I put a lot of thought into it. It was a lot of like scrambling around, trying to think if something would work or not. But hopefully you guys won't notice it feeling amateur-ish. I hope you guys watch this and feel that it feels very professional, because that is the angle that I'm going with my next video that I'm working on, which is a product review about the Nikon ZR. And it's really trying to paint a picture that this camera really makes someone like me, who I kind of self-identify myself as an aspiring filmmaker, an amateur filmmaker, whatever you want to call it. But it makes someone like me create content that can trick people into thinking I am professional, or more professional than I actually am. And so that is the angle of my product review, to tell you guys like, hey, if you're like me and you're trying to start off into making films, but it's too daunting, or there's too many things you have to purchase and everything about it looks overwhelming, well, this camera, I honestly feel, was a very, very easy way for me to get into the space and create stuff that I felt was punching way above its weight. So anyways, that's my long spiel, just giving my little intro of what's been happening and what I'm working on next. So on these streams, at least for the coming days, I am trying to focus a little bit more now on creating my next YouTube video, which is, like I said, the product review. But I'm also here to answer any questions. So we've been having fun in the past few days since they announced the Nikon ZR globally and publicly. So then the embargo was lifted, so I can start talking about this. So anyways, it's in the past few days since I've come back from the trip and released the video, and now I'm back into streaming mode, I've been basically just trying my best to answer any questions you guys got about the camera, what my thoughts are on it, how does it compare to other things, and all that kind of stuff. So we'll continue doing that for anyone who has questions. In the meantime, I'm also here to share the behind the scenes, so I'm happy to share all of the footages that I have that I shot with the Nikon ZR. We can review some of them, and then also as I start building out my product review, I need to start figuring out which of these shots I need to prioritize, or put higher up in the list to potentially include in our product review. So that's what the game plan is today. There's really no structure to it. I just go with the flow, see what interests me the most, and then yeah. So anyways, right now what you're seeing me do, hopefully if I'm not making a mistake, and oh, let's fix our cat camera real quick. We have to make sure that my cat is showcased prominently. There we go. What a cutie over here. You know what? I was about to disturb him, but he just side-eyed me. He's like, don't do it, man. All right, we're going to leave Kimbap alone for a bit. Brendan, hello, Brendan. Brendan says, I didn't see your other streams for editing. How was grading the red codec if you shot using that? It was very simple, I got to say. So Brendan, I apologize. I feel like I've recognized your name. I know I've chatted with someone named Brendan in the past. I don't know if it's you. I also took a couple weeks off from our streaming journey, so I apologize if I forget people. But if this is your first time here, welcome, and thank you for your question. So one of the caveats I always say as much as possible, and I almost feel like I need to put it as a disclaimer on my streams, I am very much not a professional. I didn't go to school learning about filmmaking or cinematography or even photography. All of this was a self-taught journey as a passion, for a broader passion and hobbies, and yeah, over time I've been trying to be more professional. And so with videography, I've only been doing video stuff for the past 2.5 years or so, more seriously. And YouTube, I started the YouTube channel about a year ago. So everything you've been watching on my streams, not even just from the past few days, but this is day 51. So the past 50 days of me doing the live stream journey, you will see me edit videos that I'm releasing onto my YouTube channel, and in different qualities, right? And it's always just in the name of learning and learning from other people. So with that caveat aside, I had never shot with red before. This is the first time I ever was shooting with red codec. This is the first time I ever shot with a camera that's identifying as a cinema camera, right? Up until now, I've been shooting with, mainly in the past few years, it's been the Nikon ZR, sometimes with the Z8, and the Z6 III, which is the one I'm using right now for the stream. And so I've been shooting a lot in NRAW. That's the one I'm most familiar with. And but yeah, so anyways, with the red codec, it turned out to be quite simple, right? Obviously, like, you just select it. It's as easy as that. I was mostly shooting in 6K 60 frames in the red R3D NE codec. It's a 12-bit codec. So, from what I understand about the red cameras, I think most of the red cameras are like 16-bit. So obviously it's a drastic reduction from a 16-bit. However, I really love the quality from that 12-bit. I've been shooting in NRAW 12-bit, and this is no difference. If anything, it's better, I would say. And then in terms of playing around with it, and I'll show you in the stream here, right, as we edit some of these files, I will say this is a pre-production unit, and DaVinci doesn't necessarily have the right, what do you call it? It doesn't have like the actual conversion, because obviously the unit hasn't been launched yet. So since we're doing this all pre-launch, they provided a way for me to take the beta files, convert it into like the proper, something that DaVinci can read, and then from that I'm able to edit the files. I think it was like a log 3G10 or something, and the red wide gamut. So it won't be like a one-to-one for whatever is going to be the true thing once it launches. But at the very least, this should give you a pretty good idea of like what the color science looks like with this camera. You're saying I'm the same one probably. I asked a few days ago about your initial thoughts on the camera. Gotcha. Okay, well, I apologize for my short-term memory loss there. But thank you for being here, as always. I didn't see... Yeah, so how was grading the red codec? Oh, yeah. So maybe just to be more specific with your question, it literally was so easy. Let me see if I can take an example. So, yeah, maybe we'll take this one, because you can clearly see here there's a lot going on in terms of the dynamic range, or the exposure, the highlights here. So if I were to try to undo all this, by the way, if I do things incorrectly in DaVinci, that's also a thing where I'm very new to all of this. I've just got a year of just like learning it. What would you call it? I just like bulldoze my way through learning how to use these programs. Okay, so let's imagine I have this guy. I already created a power grade that uses the color space transformation. So then here I got that red log 3G. So then you can see this is what it looked like, as is, as I filmed it. And then all I have to do is apply my power grade, and then just off the rip, here you got your file that's been now I need to know if there's a shortcut for me to do like a before and after. This is the only way I know. So this is what I shot, and then I just put that color space transformation on there, switch it into like the proper color science that I can work with, and then boom, here we go. Here's the color profile. And I really haven't had to do much on any of the footages that I edit besides just adjusting the curves in terms of like, you know, if I want the shot to be a bit more, yeah, a little bit more contrasty, or like, you know, drop the shadows a bit, or yeah, reduce the highlights, things like that. And I haven't really had to do anything else. Like when it comes to the actual colors, I almost feel like I don't necessarily need to change the colors. I mean, a few times I do, just from like a creative choice. So like sometimes I want the green to look slightly different from the greens, let's say. But that's more like a creative choice or a personal choice. But yeah, that's as simple as that. Literally, I just apply my power grade, I drop the curves a bit, and then usually whatever you see there is something I'm happy with. Like I really don't have to play much with the files after that. So let's see another example here. And then, yeah, this is obviously very dark, so then I would just have to, you know, just keep playing with it. But yeah, that's literally it. I'm not doing anything besides just looking at my curves. I'm trying to get more comfortable with the waveforms, because usually I was just looking at the histogram. But from everything I'm reading, as I was doing more research about like being a filmmaker, it seems like the waveform is like the more proper scope that people use as like colorists. I could be wrong, I don't know, but it seemed like every review, every tutorial video I was watching, people were always in the waveform. So I was like, okay, let's get comfortable with it. But yeah, anyways, that's my long-winded answer to your question, Brendan, but it's been very, very simple. Very, very simple. And one thing I was going to mention the product review as well, but so Nikon claims it's about like a 15 plus stops of dynamic range. And for what it's worth, when I've been shooting with this, I found it very, very rare that I would end up in a position where I've, you know, clipped the highlights or the shadows are like, you know, too dark or anything. I found it very difficult to get into that situation. And this is even with the fact that I was stress testing the camera quite a bit. So I was like trying at times to shoot, you know, let's say the native ISO is 800. Sometimes I'm just shooting at 200. Sometimes I'm shooting, you know, past 6400. So yeah, I really want to put this to the test and see, like, you know, if I shot normally or even at these different ISOs, do I get into a situation where like things are blown out? And yeah, honestly, I think there's only maybe 2 or 3 clips in the entirety of everything I shot where I felt like, ooh, shit, I kind of overexposed there or underexposed. So, but yeah, I think now the question, I really want to see if I can test the difference between the red codec and the NRAW, because I'm a fan of NRAW. For what it's worth, I've been really enjoying shooting with NRAW. Now, my understanding is with the red codec, it is like much more powerful. So chances are I don't necessarily want to use NRAW anymore. Now, one of the things that might keep me using NRAW is the fact that the NRAW files were so efficient. They were like when you shoot in my Nikon camera, you would have the most powerful options were the 12-bit Apple ProRes RAW, I think is what it was. And so that shoots in 12-bit RAW and log and all that. But then there's also the NRAW, which is Nikon's proprietary codec, and that was also 12-bit. And at least to a layman like myself, like if you actually ask like someone who's way more technically advanced or understands this, maybe they'd be able to tell you like, oh, actually with the NRAW, if you look at their color science, or if you look, you know, the shadows are a lot worse than like, you know, in Apple ProRes or something like that. I have no idea. All I know is for an amateur like me trying to get into filmmaking, when I shot with NRAW, the colors looked amazing. The proof, I would say, is if you look at any of my videos that I posted on YouTube, 99% of it is probably shot with NRAW, and I'm really happy with the color quality. Could it be better? I'm sure, yeah, for sure. Like especially like some of it's user error because I'm so new to filmmaking. But point is, I'm really happy with the quality, and but the other reason that I've been such a big fan of NRAW is the fact that the file sizes were so small compared to like shooting in Apple ProRes RAW. So I think from my own personal tests when I'm out in the field, I'd be able to shoot like roughly 3 times as much footage when I was shooting in NRAW compared to if I wanted to shoot in the Apple ProRes RAW whatever format. So literally a third the size, which for me, my style of shooting, which is I'm usually filming when I'm traveling. So when you're traveling, you can only carry so much in terms of SSDs and memory cards and all that, and you might be traveling for 2 weeks, so you have to like portion out, or you have to make sure you ration out your footage or your storage space potentially. And so to know that I have 3 times as much shooting storage if I shoot in like NRAW, that was like a huge game changer for me. And like if the average person can't tell a big difference in the colors, then why wouldn't I shoot in NRAW? So anyways, long story, but I believe the red codec is just as efficient, or at least in the same ballpark. And I believe there's a whole history that I'm not familiar with, but I was watching some reviews where they talk about like the history between Red and Nikon, given the fact that I believe they were in a lawsuit together, or they're like fighting each other about the usage of this kind of compact, compressed raw files, which I think Red is known for, having these very efficient files. And then Nikon was coming out with their NRAW and doing the same thing or something similar, and they were suing each other. I don't know. But anyways, then obviously Nikon ended up buying out Red, so then all of that didn't matter anymore. So either way, as a consumer now, in this case, I'm happy because I'm able to shoot in a much more compressed file size. So I think it was the same thing. I was using a bunch of 1 terabyte cards, and with those 1 terabyte cards, I believe I was able to film in 6K 60 frames, roughly 30 minutes. I think it was like just under 30 minutes of filming that I was able to do off of each card, which is like both not enough, but also enough, Like from my side, I was filming, like, do I really need to film at 6K for everything? Probably not. I mean, it's nice though. It is a good, like, I think 6K is a sweet spot because 8K is just so massive. And yes, it's good for wildlife because then I'm able to like 2x zoom crop into my footage for wildlife that's really far away without losing the resolution necessarily, especially if I'm putting a 4K video out or something like that. So that's really nice, but the file sizes are massive, right? So you don't necessarily want to shoot everything in 8K. 6K, it just happens to be a nice sweet spot because obviously it gives you a lot more buffer space when I end up cropping in. But if I have 30 minutes that I can film with a 1 terabyte card, and I've got like, I think I've got like 8 1 terabyte memory cards, right? For my typical travel shoots, I probably wouldn't be filming as quickly as I did in this project, because obviously I was here to film as much as possible. So but yeah, anyways, so this is some of the Red footages. I need to go spend some time like going deeper into them, seeing what the colors are like, and then which one of these footages do I want to actually bring up in the product review. So things like obviously any of the golden hour shots, and one thing I need to double check as well is I need to figure out, is there a way I can see what I shot this in terms of the ISO and stuff? I don't know if it's possible to see that in DaVinci. Let me ask. Hello, Amber. Can you hear me?
Yes, I've got you loud and clear. I'm right here and ready to help.
Perfect. Okay, I have a question for you about DaVinci Resolve. I have a bunch of files from a recent shoot that I did, and I'm trying to figure out, am I able to see the metadata on these files? Specifically, I'm trying to see if I can identify what ISO that I shoot the video in, as well as if I can see what lens I was using when I filmed on this file, and then if there was a shotgun mic attached or not. Do you know if I can see any of those details within DaVinci Resolve, or do I have to use other services? For instance, I do have, this is all shot in the new ZR with the Red codec, and so I have Red Cine X Pro as a software. So am I able to see those level of details in one of these programs?
Absolutely. You can see a lot of that metadata directly inside DaVinci Resolve. When you have a clip selected in the media pool or on the timeline, you can just open the metadata panel. That'll show you a lot of details like the ISO, the lens used, and the audio source info if it's embedded. Now, because you mentioned you're working with Red footage from the Nikon ZR, DaVinci should pull in a lot of that data automatically. But if you want to double check even more detailed Red specific metadata, you can also open it in Red CNX Pro. That tool is basically designed to show every bit of Red metadata possible, including things like lens and whether a shotgun mic was used, if that was recorded in the file metadata. So short answer, yes, you can see most of that Red in DaVinci Resolve. And for any extra deep Red specific details, Red CNX Pro is a good backup.
Okay, so I clicked on the metadata panel in DaVinci Resolve, and I do see a decent number of details, but I don't see anything about the ISO, for instance. Do you know if that's available?
Yeah, that can happen sometimes depending on the camera and how the metadata is embedded. With the Nikon ZR shooting in red code, Resolve does pull in a lot, but sometimes ISO info can be a little hidden or might not show up in the standard metadata view. One thing you can try and resolve is to switch between different metadata views or look under the camera or shot and scene sections if you haven't already, because sometimes it just hides under a different tab. If it's still not there, then popping the file into Red CNX Pro will definitely show you the ISO. Red CNX is really thorough with all those camera settings, so if it's crucial to confirm that ISO detail, that'll be your go-to. But in general, you should be able to get a lot of those details right in Resolve with a bit of digging around.
Okay. That's somewhat helpful. So it sounds like I just need to open up Red Cine X Pro to be able to check some of the details. Should I do that right now? Let me think. Okay, before I get into that, maybe what I should do... let's do a little bit of just kind of highlighting some of the clips. Let's start, like, color coding some of the clips that I think I want to pull into our product review. And separately, let me also open up Notion. So I'm using Notion to keep track of my notes. So as I'm like trying to put the script together right now. So I'm using ChatGPT and then also just writing myself to figure out what is the actual script. So for example, this is the script that I have so far. I'm just keeping also notes about things that I should probably talk about, but maybe it's not the main thing. So, opening hook, this is what I got. I'm going to say something like this. I have to admit something. I'm not a pro cinematographer. I am a travel and wildlife photographer who got obsessed with reels, moved into YouTube vlogs, and now I'm fumbling my way toward cinematic storytelling. But I think that's exactly why Nikon invited me to try the new Nikon ZR before launch, to see whether a camera at this price, with pro cinema features, can help a self-taught creator make work that actually feels cinematic. So if you're like me, an aspiring filmmaker and a solo run-and-gun traveler, the Nikon ZR and this review are for you. And then, yeah, so as I say all this, most likely it'll be a shot of me, you know, staring into the camera, blah, 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 and then maybe some text overlays and stuff like that. By the way, I do not have a video editor, so everything, yeah, I'm going to have to do this myself. Maybe I need to hire a video editor. I don't know, but I need to do this quickly, so it's just sometimes easier to do it myself. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm going to have to edit this myself. It's going to be a fun challenge because... one of my weak spots is definitely not knowing how to do very punchy videos, you know, with like all the crazy visual effects and like sound effects and whooshes and all that kind of stuff. So this will be a fun challenge for me. But anyways, I think I like this. I like this opening hook. It keeps my voice in it. This is like my language, generally speaking. ChatGPT helped me with a few of the words or just like structuring it a bit. But yeah, it keeps my tone of voice. But I think it also captures a bit of like, there's a unique angle to my product review compared to any number of the other reviews you can see online. And it's from the lens of like, yo, if you're going to watch this review, you shouldn't watch it if you want to hear from someone who's going to give you all the breakdowns from a professional and an expertise level of like, you know, these are the technical details and here's why that's good compared to other stuff, blah, blah, blah. Then this review is not for you. And I'm not like trying to trick anyone into thinking that. It's very much trying to say, like, as a nobody, as someone who's never used any Red product, as someone who's never made professional films or did anything in that space, what did I feel? Like, what were my thoughts about using this camera, and did I actually exceed my skill level because of this camera. And so then I'm really trying to target an audience of people who are like me, who wants to get into film, but it's a bit overwhelming or daunting. And so, yeah, I think it sets the tone there. And then as the soundtrack, whatever I choose here, it's going to slowly build up in the background. And so when I say the final line of the opening hook, where I say, if you're like me, an aspiring filmmaker and a solo run and gun traveler, the Nikon ZR and this review are for you. Boom. So then at that point, not like a boom, but essentially then it kicks into a, maybe I should put that in here somewhere. Opening trailer showing various shots taken from the ZR on my shoot. Yeah, so then here's where I'm, let's say maybe roughly 30 seconds. Whoops. Roughly 30 seconds. And actually, let's test this right now. Let me time how long this one takes. Oh, you know what? I feel like you guys can hear the wind. One second. Let me pause the music. Oh yeah, I think the fan noise is visible or audible. So let me try to turn it down maybe. Okay. We'll put it over here. Yeah, it's a little, you know what, now that I turn up the microphone so I can hear my mic a bit more, I do feel like I hear it, so I'll do my best. Hopefully it's not too annoying for you guys. Let me turn this down now. And we'll put the music back on. Nico, you're asking how much will the Nikon ZR cost when it publishes or when it launches? I believe they've already announced that it's going to be, and I've seen a bunch of YouTubers also mention this. I think it's already been announced as being $2,200. You don't hear the fan? Oh, okay, thanks. Thank you for saying that, because you know what? I need to pump up the fan, because it gets so hot in here, okay? There we go. Thanks for clarifying. Yeah, so I think it's going to be $2,200, which is also, again, it's so insane. You know what? I was watching a cool review from Potato Jet, very cool YouTuber, and in his review, he was like showing the camera, right, and showing some of the features to a bunch of other colleagues of his who are, you know, they're all well versed in filmmaking and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, he would ask each of them like, yo, okay, so this camera, it's got these features, blah blah blah, what do you think, how much it's going to cost? And like all of them were like, oh man, with these kind of things, blah blah blah, I'm gonna guess it must be like what, $3,000 or, you know, somewhere in that range. And so every one of them gets shocked when they hear that the price is actually $2,200. So it is like, and to the point where he made a comment, Potato Jet, whatever his real name is, but he made a comment that he believes that maybe Nikon is trying to position the camera in such a way that maybe they're even going to operate at a loss so that they can convert any of those Sony shooters or Canon shooters over to Nikon. So this could be definitely a kind of strategic decision. I'm assuming everything is strategic, but the fact that they are pricing this at $2,200 is a big shock, in the sense that it's a good thing as a consumer. So I do feel that this might be a good time to jump into that, because if all these professionals, I say professionals, I you know, for all I know that maybe they're not, but all these people from like reputable large YouTube channels who do filmmaking, cinematography, if they're all getting shocked at the price tag, that's probably a good thing, especially when they go in blind, when you're asking them like, what do you think the cost is? And if they're all assuming like $1,000 more than what it actually will cost. Very, very small sample size, but I do believe that they're pricing this at a really, really affordable rate. So more bang for your buck, let's say. But yeah, so maybe things can change, right? But as of now, my understanding is it's $2,200, and that's anywhere like that could be like half the price of some of the competing cinema cameras that it's trying to compete against, like the Sony FX3 and the there's like a Canon one, but I'm so bad with these names. So, okay. So anyways, let me, oh yeah, I was going to time my opening hook. So I'm going to hit start. I have to admit something. I'm not a pro cinematographer. I am a travel and wildlife photographer who got obsessed with reels moved into YouTube vlogs, and now I'm fumbling my way toward cinematic storytelling. But I think that's exactly why Nikon invited me to try the new Nikon ZR before launch, to see whether a camera at this price, with pro cinema features, can help a self-taught creator make work that actually feels cinematic. So if you're like me, an aspiring filmmaker and a solo run-and-gun traveler, the Nikon ZR and this review are for you. Okay, so that was roughly 36 seconds. So that's not bad. I think that's a decent, like I can probably even stretch that to 1 minute if necessary. But yeah, so imagine that it's about 40 seconds. We'll call it 40 seconds for this opening hook line. And hopefully I do things within the 40 seconds to make this punchy and keep people's interest. So wish me luck on that. And then as we build up the music, as I say the last line, this review is for you or whatever, then we'll have about 30 seconds with some more dramatic soundtrack, you know, more like inspiring music and all that kind of stuff. And then in those 30 seconds, I'm going to have to just do like a quick montage of some of the, like all of these different shots that we have from this trip. So I'm going to have to take the best shots, and also shots that show off different features, right? So everything from showing like the nice stabilization effect, showing the colors, obviously some of the shots maybe in like low light situations, some of the shots, you know, directly shooting against the sun. So just kind of stress testing and showing the overall performance of this camera. Obviously the chimpanzees are the main subjects, but I think I want to mix in shots of the people that I took, then like some of the nature shots, close-up shots. I need to take a note of this actually. You know what? We're going to do that now. Shot list. What else? Oh yeah, and then maybe some of the interview shots, because like I have a bunch of interviews which I haven't shared yet. You know, it's not part of that 5-minute video, but yeah, I want to tease out a bunch of other footages that haven't made the light of day. So yeah, I think we'll start creating a shot list right now for that. Hello Siegfried. Welcome. How's it going, Siegfried? And thank you again for your lovely comments on that video. Yes, thank you very much. But what is today? Oh yeah, and thank you for being here on day 51. Now, day 51 doesn't sound very special, so we're gonna make it special, obviously. But it's just another day. I can't wait till we hit day 60, though. How about that? Because then we can say that's really. Oh my God! Actually, I didn't think about it. In my mind, I was thinking I've been streaming for 2 months, but technically, we have only been streaming for a month and a half. So, yeah. Thank you guys for being here. Okay, so basically, Siegfried, just to catch you up, we're just kind of going through some of the footages. Nothing's different from yesterday. It's a continuation of what we were doing. So I'm here to answer any questions about the new camera. You know, not that I have all the answers, but I can at least share my experience with the camera. Obviously, going through some of the footages that I took with the camera. And then I'm also sharing a behind the scenes of my next YouTube video that I'm working on, which is like a product review. So it's going to be a product review on the ZR. And so, yeah, if you are watching these live streams, I share everything. So you get to see exactly what I'm going to be saying. You can see how I will struggle through things or how we're going to make the product review. But hopefully you guys find it fun, especially when the final result hopefully will be really cool. Yeah, you know what? Obviously, for obvious reasons, I couldn't share the behind the scenes of making my documentary, but I really wish I could have, because it was so. I am very happy. I'm happy with how this short film turned out. But also, if you were to see the before and after of like when I was starting this project and I was looking at all the raw footages, it's like any of the other projects we worked on stream, like the Mongolia videos, for instance, where it was just like, holy shit, I don't know what to do. Like, what is going to be the opening shot? What soundtrack am I going to use? Holy crap. Like, listening through all of the hour-plus transcripts and the voices of Dr. Rakundo and the other interviewers, like, how am I going to know what dialogue to include? What's the mood? So all of it was just such a huge question mark. And so to get from like that beginning point to where we ended up with this footage, I'm like so happy with this. It would have been really cool to share the behind the scenes, but yeah. Even like subtle moments like this when I created the title sequence, and then having this thing pop in, the thought process that I was figuring this out is like, you know, oh, what if I make the title and then the title says second chances. So what if I make it seem like the words themselves, second chance, is very dull and it looks like it's on the verge of dying. But then all of a sudden, boom, it's got its own second chance of being a title phrase. And then the lights turn on in the words. So anyways, I was going deep with it, you know, like, and who knows, maybe people look at that and think it's tacky, but for me, it was fun. It was fun. So, okay. Anyways. So, oh yeah, I needed to see if the opening hook is about 40 seconds, then let's say I spend about 30 seconds. So then by the time our trailer is done, we are about 1.5 minutes, maybe 1 minute to 1.5 minutes into our product review, which I think is good. I think it's, I mean, people want to see some of the best footages anyways, right? So I have to prove to a potential viewer why they should actually watch the remainder of my video, which is probably going to be what, probably like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that. So the first minute has to be powerful. It has to hopefully set the scene, set the expectations of who this video is for, and then I have to prove myself in terms of why should you trust me. And so hopefully I'll have the really nice footages to prove that. And then we'll go into the intro. So here's what I have written so far. Everything you just saw was shot with a pre-production unit of the ZR. If you want the full 5-minute short film I made, the link's up here and in the description. It's a quick watch, and I hope you enjoy my first attempt at a documentary film. Now let's talk about what this thing is actually packing under the hood. So then here I need to, hopefully I should be able to get access to the ZR again soon, because I need to film a bit more with it. So I might even film the entire talking head video with the ZR. Just to again show the what would you call it? The versatility of the camera, and also just give more examples of the quality. So then when I get it, then I should be able to film it with a different camera to show some of the product shots of it and things like that. The ZR is a full frame camera that records 6K R3D RAW with 15 plus stops of dynamic range, captures 32-bit flow audio, has built-in stabilization up to 7.5 stops, and gives you a massive 4-inch screen. So let me break down those highlights and a few others from my field test at Ngamba Island Chimpanzee Sanctuary in Uganda, starting with feature number 1. So then here we'll switch into the first feature, which is going to be on the red RAW codec. So now I'll say, starting with the Red Code RAW R3D NE codec, ZR records Red's new R3D NE internally up to full frame 6K 60 or 4K 120 with a small DX crop. You're getting 12-bit Red RAW that uses log 3G10 and red wide gamut, so color, highlight roll-off, and grading flexibility feel like real cinema. You can also load Red Creative LUTs into the View Assist, so you're previewing something close to your final look as you shoot. For my pre-release test, I monitored in a basic Rec 709 view, which worked quite well. The ZR shoots in two base ISOs of 800 and 6400 with 15 plus stops dynamic range. The extra latitude was noticeable in mixed light and backlit scenes, of which I shot quite a bit on this shoot. I was stress testing constantly, changing ISOs, pushing exposures, and still I rarely experienced clipped highlights or crushed shadows. So that gives me a nice safety net while I learn to shoot better over time. Now, this was my first time using Red RAW, and as a self-professed amateur, I was super impressed. Not only do these shots grade like grown-up cinema, the files are super efficient. In my experience, R3D NE sits in the same ballpark as high-quality NRAW, and is generally leaner than ProRes RAW, which is crucial for my typical travel shoots where storage space is limited. Maybe I need to change this verbiage a little bit, because if I feel like maybe I'm making it sound like it's not as good as the NRAW, which, when in fact it's probably the opposite. Like the NRAW, or the R3D is the new gold standard, right? Maybe I have to be more clear that this is about the file size. Okay, yeah, so I'll say the R3D NE file size sits in the same ballpark, something like that. Okay, we'll have to tweak this a bit. So basically I'm going to start off by talking about the Red RAW codec, and obviously show some BTS or B-roll shots of various footage I took with it, showing the dynamic range and all that kind of stuff. Then the second feature is going to be on the 32-bit float audio plus the digital shoe. So what I have so far is I say something like, one of the biggest surprises for me wasn't the image, it was the audio. The ZR can record 32-bit float internally, as well as from the digital hot shoe or the 3.5mm mic jack. This is a huge win for my filming style. Given the unpredictability of my travel shoots, I'm rarely in controlled environments, and in this case I had occasional chimps screeching into the mic, so not having to worry about adjusting levels mid-take is a huge relief. I also tried Nikon's new ME-D10 shotgun mic, which, spoiler alert, I really liked. It's compact, no cables or batteries, and it feeds audio directly via the digital hot shoe. So let's look at a few notable examples from my shoot. So then here I think I'm just going to literally just have no soundtrack or anything and just let the audio play itself, right? So obviously I want to show what was the quality like, everything from seeing like the ambient sound to the moment the screeches kick in, and showing how that we can level all the level, yeah, we can level out the audio so it doesn't clip out or like blast in your ears, and it's perfect. And then I have some of the sounds that I took of myself when I'm doing selfie mode, testing out some of the shotgun features and like the built-in microphone. So yeah, I think that will just kind of be on its own without necessarily needing my voiceover. But then what I could do, and I haven't decided this yet, assuming I get my hands on the ZR again to do the product review, I might do the whole product review or part of it with the shotgun mic attached. And so then we'll actually try to do the entire product review with the shotgun mic attached to the ZR. And then, yeah, hopefully it's good enough that I can just publish the video with that microphone. I won't use my RE20 as much as I love this microphone, and we spent a good amount of chunk of money on this. Obviously, I want to test in all the circumstances. So yeah, we'll try doing the shotgun mic. That's part of Nikon's shotgun mic, and attach it to the camera, and then that will be part of our review as well. But basically, the main thing I'm trying to point out here is for solo travel work, 32-bit float feels like a cheat code. Fewer retakes, fewer ruined. Oh my god, you know what? I'm not going to say the word fewer. I hate trying to say it out loud. Fewer retakes. Damn it, but then that means poor grammar. Okay, I'll reword this one, but fewer retakes, fewer ruined moments, and of course, fewer gadgets I need to stuff in my travel bag. Okay, that's as far as I got, so I have a lot more work to go. But yeah, I'm mostly doing this off stream, so even today, this is what I was working on, was just trying to figure out the scripting here. So most likely by the end of this, I'm going to end up with how many features. I'm going to talk about feature 1 is shooting in red, feature 2 is on the 32-bit float, feature 3 is on the inbuilt in-body image stabilization, the IBIS of 7.5 stops. That'll be a quick feature because it's not like a main feature that Nikon is touting or anything. It's not like revolutionary or anything like that, but it is one for me and my style of shooting is important, and I have the footage to back it up, right? So I'll talk about with my travel shooting style, I don't use gimbals. I'm oftentimes like having to handhold my gear, and so I'll be able to show that the hero shot, right? The one that I believe is probably the best footage I have, where I can show this whole thing. I'll show it in real time, and so you can see like how shaky was the footage with the built-in 7.5 stops of IBIS. And then after I put it through the post-production and do a bit of stabilization, showing how it ends up becoming super smooth footage with just minimal cropping, and we're able to have some really cinematic shots. And again, the fact that this was all captured while I was walking backwards, hand-holding, slightly tripping over tree branches and roots and stuff like that, it's a testament to the camera for sure. So I think that'll be a nice little additional feature, and again, pointing towards the type of shooter like myself. And then feature 4 will be on the 4-inch screen. So now I think that's another, it is a huge distinction between the competitors. The fact that you have this 4-inch screen, whereas I believe all the competitors usually shoot with like a 3-inch screen. And then like when you think about external monitors that most people use, usually it's like a 5-inch screen. So you got a 5-inch screen that most people end up using because the 3-inch screen is too small. And so they have to attach that external monitor to the camera, and it's just bulky, and all of a sudden you're building a transformer set, right? Whereas a 4-inch right in the middle, but the 4-inch, the way they designed it, it is beautiful. Like it literally is. It feels really nice, where I felt most of the times I can see everything as I need to without any issues. A few times I felt like more instinctively than anything, I just want a viewfinder like the EVF so I can look through. But either way, the 4-inch screen is really nice. And so I think this will end up, I imagine this could become a new like industry standard. So yeah, the fact that it's a 4-inch monitor screen, the display, I think it's also going to show the fact that this is a camera for someone like me, because I don't want to travel with a external monitor with a big shotgun mic connected with the gimbal and an extra battery, and like I don't want a massive rig. The way I shoot, it's always lightweight. I'm always like running, gunning, you know, it's like you just quickly need to set it up, quickly switch lenses, boom, you're shooting again. And so for someone like me to know that now I don't necessarily need that external monitor, I can just shoot as is and see everything from a film perspective on a beautiful 4-inch screen. Perfect. So I think that's probably the final feature. So we'll have like what, 4 features that I kind of like do a deep dive into, and then we'll do some of the more like within each one there might be a bit more of like a minor features that we talk about, and then I'll get into some of the drawbacks, right? So then I'll talk about some of my like complaints. So Nico, thank you very much for typing in there the promo. Yes, if you'd like to check out that video, it is in the link that Nico had just sent across. 5 minutes on my YouTube channel. I hope you enjoy it. Leave a comment, I will respond to it, and of course I will love you forever. So so here are some of the other minor features I need to discuss, and some of these are good, some of these are bad, right? So the fact that it's only got one CF Express card slot, I wish it had 2, all right, for obvious reasons. Even with like the Z6 III, it's got the CF Express Type B slot, and then it's got a normal like a SD slot. And that works pretty well, because then at least for photos, I put it onto the SD slot, and then the videos on the CF Express. But this one has a micro SD, and I just don't shoot often with the micro SD. So now it does mean I have to purchase a few of those. Oh, that's not the worst thing, because they're not that expensive compared to the others. But yeah, it's a micro SD. I would have loved to have 2 CF Express slots, right? And then one of the major reasons is because it would allow for redundancy. So you can imagine, especially if you're doing more professional shoots, your big fear is that you're going to film and for whatever reason your memory card is corrupted or something gets lost, whatever. So to be able to have redundancy would be nice. Now, when you shoot in this format, similar to shooting in NRAW, you do end up with an MP4 file as well as your actual codec file. But obviously it's not the same, right? The MP4 it's not anywhere near the quality of what you want. So I don't know. I wish there was a bit more redundancy just in case. The micro HDMI. Now I know a lot of people complain about this, but here's the beauty of being me. I'm so new to this industry that I actually don't really know what the big deal is about the micro HDMI. Besides the fact that I think a lot of people complain that the cables break a lot easier than if you're using like a full size HDMI. I don't know if there's an actual quality difference in terms of like, does it mean all of a sudden you're not able to transmit certain amounts of data between the camera and whatever else you're using? I don't know. I literally don't know, because again, the style of filmmaking I do usually is the type where I don't really have anything else attached to my camera. I just want my camera and my lens, an ND filter, and shotgun mic or like a microphone, and that's about it. So I don't feel the pain of the fact that it's a micro HDMI compared to established people feeling the pain, because like I'm assuming they use all kinds of other equipment, and so that could be annoying for them. So anyways, it is something to call out though. I don't know as of yet when I'm gonna start getting annoyed by the fact that it's a micro HDMI. And I could be annoyed because the cables might be super weak from what I understand. Nico, you said you sent it to your brother? Hells yeah. Tell your brother to watch it in full, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, of course, and then send it to like 5 friends. And then tell those 5 friends. We're going to make a pyramid scheme out of this, okay? So Nico, for sending that video to your brother, you're going to earn an additional 300 PPs, our prize pixel points in our channel. So you can tell your brother that if they sign up, they will, or you know, if they like the video and all that, they will also get 300 PPs. And if they convince other people to sign up, they will also get, you get the point. We'll make a pyramid scheme out of this. But yes, thank you very much. I give you some extra PPs. Okay, anyways, where were we? yeah, a few other things I need to call out is the power button. Yeah, I'm not a fan of where the power button is placed. It's beautiful. It looks beautiful, by the way. When you turn on that power button, you get like a nice little green halo effect around the button. And I think when you record, it turns red. I could be wrong. I'm trying to remember now. Looks beautiful. The issue is that, and also it turns on, and you know, I should put a note about it. Turns on super quick, but also too easy to press. The issue I have with the power button, and to be honest, I didn't actually end up with this. I didn't actually run into this problem, but my fear was, and still is, that if I'm traveling with this camera, and I'm assuming I would put it into my sling bag, my fear would be that I would end up, it's in the bag, and it's gonna something will press up against it, and it'll hit the power button, and it'll turn on the camera without me wanting it to. And so then there's a fear that it'll just drain battery life while it's turned on inside of my bag. So I feel like I do miss just having a physical switch, because then it was very physical, right? So I know exactly when I turn it on or off, versus like a power button, which can just get brushed against and turn on. Now, I did have one other issue though when I was shooting with it, because it's not as obvious to me if I've powered the camera on or off. The issue is that sometimes I thought that I powered off the camera so that I could switch lenses. But then I only find out afterwards, once I swap lenses and I look at the camera to turn on, the camera's been on the whole time, which is really nerve-wracking, because, like, generally speaking, you don't want to have your sensor, you don't want the camera on when you have your sensor exposed. So that was a little bit, like, annoying, because, yeah, you would think you've powered it off, but really you didn't hold the button long enough, and it's still on, and then you switch lenses. Yeah, so that's one thing I do have a little bit of gripe with, is the power button. The fewer physical buttons, so that's another thing where I have to get used to it. So there's no like back button focus button. There's no like, there's a bunch of other buttons that, it's, if you're used to photography, especially, even like with the videography, but like, I love my Z9 and my Z6 III, where I got all the shortcut buttons where I can just program them to do whatever I want it to. Whereas this one, you just have fewer buttons to actually play with, so you have to just be more judicial about things. I did like the power zoom rocker. So it's got a little rocker on the front, which I guess it's normally used to synchronize with zoom, like the power zoom lenses for cinema. And so you can use it to, instead of having to like manually adjust the focus ring, you can just do that to, zoom in and out. But it works really well even if you have a fixed lens or a non-power zoom lens, to actually punch into your shot. So while I'm filming, I can literally just use the rocker to zoom, magnify in and magnify out. And it was like, that was actually pretty nice, because in the past what you have to do is normally I have to hit a button that I programmed to go zoom in and out, but it just requires you to have to shake your camera a bit to press the button or whatever. Whereas here it's like your hand's already naturally positioned in a place where you just have to click on the zoom rocker and boom, you're zoomed in. View assist with the red LUTs, yeah, so that was a good thing. I think I mentioned in the script so far. And then the digital accessory shoe mount. So some of these I've already covered in the script. But yeah, so anyways, these are some of the things I need to make sure to call out. Okay, anyways, where were we? Okay, so I want to go through some of these shots, but before we go into the actual, like the footage I took, I think I need to focus more on the shots of myself first. I need to see what I'm working with. Like, what of the behind-the-scenes shots of myself holding the camera, what do I have already? So then I can start seeing what I can work with, and I can also determine what shots are missing. So then if I can borrow the ZR from the office again, from the Nikon office, then I can film the things that are missing. So let's see. And for this, we don't really need the audio, so I'll turn that down. Ooh, and also, sorry, I'm multitasking here. Lens distortions. If you are not new to my channel, you'll know that I rave about these guys all the time. And I'm just waiting for the day that they call me up, or they'll knock on my door. I'm so special that they're literally going to fly out to Dubai, knock on my door, and be like, greetings and salutations. We've heard all about you, Yobel, and we would love to work with you in an official capacity. So what say you? Would you like to be sponsored by us? I'm waiting for that day to happen. I'm sure it's going to happen any day from now. But yes, that's how big of a fan I am of these guys. And I think I ended up using for my, I mean, yeah, definitely for this documentary film, all the soundtracks came from Lens Distortions. Um, I'm trying to think if it was from any of the new albums. But anyways, they've already announced in the 2 weeks that I've been gone, there's already a new album coming out. I'm so happy, right? So there's only one single that they've released publicly. Everything else is coming soon. So I am waiting with bated breath, as they say. Our forthcoming album, Act 2, is a follow-up to one of our most loved releases, The Humble Creative. With a satisfying mix of subtle, positive, and driven, this is exactly the type of music so many storytellers need. Listen to the first single today and keep an eye out for the full album soon. Okay. So while we're doing our work, I kind of want to listen to the song, and then we'll listen to the stems. Yeah, we'll put it off to the side. And let me just test the audio levels. Okay. BTS. So far, I like this song a lot. Beautiful. Oh, it's not done. Ooh, we got more. Okay. So I think this footage, we're gonna color code. I think this one's a potential. What color should we use? We're gonna go with... Let's go with lime. Okay. So all the lime shots are the ones that I think I'm gonna prioritize or will filter into the actual video. Okay. I like that song. I want to see now, because now that we understand the concept of stems and like breaking down the soundtracks. Because now I realize like every song has even more potential to be used. So we're gonna listen to some of these alternative mixes and then the individual stems of the. Beautiful, beautiful. Oh wait, it's not done yet. You can't fool me twice. Well, technically it did, but I'm gonna turn this down a bit so I can like talk without not hearing myself. Okay, so basically what I'm just doing is like, as tedious as this is the only way I know how to work on these things. I'm just looking at every one of these shots of the behind the scenes, and then I'm trying to see which of these can potentially serve a purpose based on based on what it's showing, and then based on my thoughts on what I should or could use. So for instance, I'm just writing down here then like, okay, so I have a few shots where you can see the monitor of display, you can see the shotgun mic, you can also see a few other brandings, but there's no branding, like, so you know, there's a small rig attached. I'm using a Polar Pro ND filter, but you can't see any brand, like you don't see branding, which is good because like obviously I need to make sure everything here is like Nikon only. I don't want to like get into trouble by showing other brands when I shouldn't, that kind of stuff. So I'm just trying to see which of these shots do I have where you can see the Nikon branding and stuff like that. And then this was some shots that I said is from behind, showing the display. Then we have some shot from the front side that could be useful for like B-roll. So maybe this kind of like the side shot. But I don't know if these will be prioritized because again, ideally I have some shots where there's no other products besides just the Nikon. Side profile of camera with shotgun, mic, and Oh, we already have that actually. Alright, so we got a bunch of this. And we got when it turns on when you start recording, so that's good. Okay, so I might keep something like this. Front shot of camera swiveling to the side. Shotgun mic. Shoot. Okay. So this shot, I was thinking... Also, let me just turn this on even more. God, it's so loud. Okay, what was I saying? This shot, maybe I'll show it to show, like, again, this is an example of how I'm normally shooting. So I'm always hand-holding, trying to be as stable as possible, but oftentimes it is just literally relying on you holding the camera as still as possible and then doing whatever adjustments. So for someone like me, if that's how I shoot, yeah, having a camera that's got the built-in image stabilization is super, super helpful. So yeah. Nico, you said, what do I use the PP points for? Yeah. Really, honestly, Nico, there's not much you can do with it right now. I mean, you can gamble it, so there are ways. Like, for instance, if we look up points right now, so it's literally just what would you call it? A chat currency. And there's not necessarily a lot of ways to use the points, except for you can gamble them. And then right now, it's not like there's anything tied to it where it's like, oh, if you have a million PPs, you can now, you know, get these benefits. And you definitely can't use it in the real world. But we've been having fun with it where people on the stream, at the very least, I've been keeping track of, like, at a monthly basis, who has the most PPs. And so then I would then highlight whoever that is. So for example, if you look at the stream on the bottom left, you should be able to see that it's saying biggest PP of the week. It's someone named BC or B Connolly Photo. So he's the one who had the most, he racked up the most PP. So then I will just show you guys on the stream. Actually, I do it on the full cam as well. Yeah, so it'll pop up there at the top above me. Where is it? There it is. Now, is this something amazing? Of course it is. Of course. Who doesn't want to be presented and displayed on my beautiful stream? But yeah, obviously there's no, like, real value. Oh, there are things you can do from Twitch. So if you're, I'm calling them PPs on the Twitch side as well, but technically you have the ability to use your channel points to do different things. Right now I only have it set up because I'm still learning, but there's a thing you can do where you can use your channel points to do like a voice message. So if you burn through some of those points, you can, like, type a message in almost like a voice dono sound, and then it'll play out a message with whatever sound that I have. So that's one of the fun things we do. But I think I had a suggestion from BC, and I also saw someone else doing this, where I might do something where if you use your points, you can send me, like, one of your photos that I can edit on stream, right? So we can do some fun stuff where it's like, you know, you can burn through some of those points to get me to do fun stuff on the stream. And that could be like you are sending me one of your raw photo files or video files, and then we can work on the file together. So those are just thoughts, but it's still just thoughts. I've been so preoccupied in the past few weeks that I haven't been able to, like, sit back and, like, reassess some of the cool things we can do. Okay, this might be a good shot because you see the red line turn on when we hit the record. I don't know if it was really in focus though, but let's just take it from here maybe. Okay, keep on looking. Okay, there's another one. Red line. Okay, unfortunately she started zooming out as the recording was happening, so can't win them all. Oh, but here I didn't have the filter on, so I might need to prioritize one of these shots. Okay, hopefully we have a good shot here somewhere. Even without the recording line, at least here. Okay, at least here. Okay, the problem is the camera's not. There we go. Camera's in focus there, just for a little bit. Okay, so I'll just stop it from somewhere there. Nico, you said the thing with the photo is really interesting. You should do it. Yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah, so it was suggested by BC, and also there's another streamer who does that. I forget his name. It's been a while, but yeah, I would like to do that. And also, I do have I have a link to my Ko-Fi. It should be popping up every once in a while. So Ko-Fi is something I discovered right before I took my 2-week break, but it basically combines like Patreon with tipping, plus like, you know, commission stuff. So there you can actually subscribe to be like a Ko-Fi member, so it's similar to Patreon. And so obviously I will love you forever, because then that's a direct way to support my endeavors, everything that I do. But then separately you can also do donations like tips and the like sending a message, stuff like that on the stream. And then a third thing was like doing commissions. So I did set something up there where it's like, yeah, I think if you donate like $3 or $4, something like that, I will edit one of your photos on stream. So I do have that on as an option with real money, and then I figure that could be a nice thing to do with like the channel points as well. I just need to set it up though. Okay, so this is the BTS of a really cool shot, right? Because this is that shot, one of the coolest shots that I took. It's definitely the most dramatic shot. Is when you see the chimps all walking down this tunnel. So let's go ahead and capture that. Showing monitor with shotgun mic and small rig and Polar Pro. Me shooting dramatic tunnel shot. Okay. Yeah, I think for sure we're going to end up using something like this. Yeah, this is good because now we see the record button. We're using the shotgun mic. We see everything is recording. And yeah, probably not necessary to get it to this point. Or maybe, yeah, maybe we'll use just one of these just for a few seconds. Showing a close up here. Yeah. Let's just, we'll link the entire thing. Okay, let's check this one out as well. Oh wait, I think you can see here. Actually, I want, because I'm curious. Let's see if I can see the ISO. So I was shooting this at the 800 base ISO. And then I had an ND filter on top. So I think basically at the 800 ISO, I think it was already pretty bright in my shot. So then I attached the ND filter on top. Now, technically, I think a more skilled, more experienced filmmaker would tell me I did things wrong. Because I was definitely shooting in a way where, like, if you look at the... I wonder if I can zoom in on this a bit. If you look at that waveform, it's like showing that clearly most of what it's seeing in the camera was super, super dark. So generally speaking, most people advise that you should film overexposed, and then it's much easier to drop the exposures in post as opposed to trying to recover details in the shadows later. So it's usually more recommended to like film where the exposure are much higher. Now, this is mainly, it was definitely user error, but it was also just from my general fear of not being comfortable with this camera and not really knowing what I was doing. And my fear was like, at least, at the very least, what I could see while I was filming here was like, okay, I like this. I like how it looks. So I kind of just want to make sure I film it in the way that I think I want my final shot to look like. Even if I know that things are a bit darker, so if I end up wanting to lift the shot, it might be much more difficult. My fear was, without really having much practice with these types of cameras and everything else, that if I did shoot in a way that it was slightly overexposed, that somehow I ended up doing something incorrectly, and then trying to drop it to look like this would be impossible. It's a irrational fear, but it just stems from the fact that, one, again, I'm so new to this industry, and then two, without having had any practice with this camera or this codec or in this style before, I just didn't know. I didn't want to play too much with things. So yeah, anyways, I ended up just shooting it where it's like, okay, I'm assuming this is how it should look, so we'll accept it. And assuming I don't need to lift the shadows too much, I'll be fine. And then I think what I want to do, ideally, I should be able to tie in this behind the scenes and then show like the actual shot. So maybe I'll zoom in on that at the right time. So let me write that down somewhere. Maybe in the feature section. All right, you know, I'll put it as a note. When showing BTS of capturing the tunnel shot, transition zooming into the view of my monitor to the actual shot taken from the exact same moment. That'd be a cool effect if I can for instance, like, imagine as this BTS is playing and then we're slowly zooming in on the screen here. Imagine if I can transition nicely into the exact same moment, or as close as possible to the exact same moment I was filming, but just now from the actual Nikon ZR in the properly color graded format and everything else. So if we can do that, we will. And I think these shots possibly should allow me to do that. Oh, nice, especially here. Oh yeah, you know what? I ran into a couple times where the recording got interrupted randomly. I don't know what caused it, but I'm assuming it's just like a firmware thing or whatever, so. Yeah, it happened twice. Oh, and it happened at the worst time. That was oh, okay, this is good though. Oh, but this is photo mode. Damn it. Oh, okay, maybe we don't need that much time. I just need a few seconds here, because this is one of the closest shots that she took of the BTS. So if I have this, and then I just jump right into the actual shot, I think I should have this, so, okay. All right, let's see. Are we done with the music? Let's see. Which one are we on? What else? What else? Showing monitor with shotgun mic and small rig when in photo mode. Me shooting tunnel shot. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to focus too much on the photos, because my understanding is, like, this is essentially the same 24.5 megapixel partially stacked sensor that is used on the Nikon Z6 III. So there shouldn't be any like surprises or anything like that in terms of the photo quality. It should be roughly in line with what you expect with the Z6 III. So as for my like review, I'm not really going to be focusing much on the photo side, but it is a nice feature. It's still nice to know that while we have a video first camera, I can rely on the photo taking, and it's excellent. I'm a fan of the Z6 III for photos as well. It's not always the best for like wildlife because it's a smaller megapixels and stuff, but okay, so I'll highlight this one as well. Okay, so these could be useful if I don't have it already. Let's see. Okay, maybe I'll tie in one of those shots because it at least gives a bit more context. That's probably better. Okay, so all three of these technically have some potential value. What was I filming? Okay, that's cool. The question is, do I actually have the shot of that bird that I was shooting there? Looks like I was recording. So that'd be cool if I can, same thing, if I can tie this shot behind the scenes to the actual footage as quick as it was. I think I know exactly what shot that is. Let me color code this one. This is from the 30th. So let's jump to, most likely I filmed this at 120 frames. Let's see if we can find it. Oh, it might have been this shot then. Fortunately, it's super quick though. Let's see. Do we lock on focus? Let's see. Unfortunately, the shot it's like pretty boring, you know? Because it was obviously shooting against like the sky. There's not much going on besides like just seeing it flap its wings. So I wish there was hopefully we have some better tie-ins between like the BTS and like the actual shot. Now, granted, obviously we can we can grade this a bit better, but either way, it's still just like a plain background with some, you know, it's like a gold gradient style, but it's not like it's nothing special. So let's see. We might have better ones. This is 8K, 4K 30, right? At least the BTS looks cool though, so we might end up still using it. Okay, we'll highlight this one as well. Okay, we're making some progress, but we got a lot more to go here. Yeah, before we get into these ones, again, let me just go through all of the BTS shots of either myself or whatever I was shooting. So even stuff like this, let's check it out. All right, I'm recording now. So if we can start with the format. You're doing well. All right.
My name is Dr. Joshua Rukundo. I am a wildlife veterinarian, and I've been working at the Chimpanzee Trust on Ngamba Island for now 16 years. I started out back in 2010 as a sanctuary manager, wildlife veterinarian, And before then, I'd also still been a veterinarian and with a special interest in wildlife since I graduated in 2004. And my interest in veterinary medicine has been there from the time I was a young man.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's much really to share from these Atomos shots. So I had the external monitor hooked up here, just in case I needed to share like what the settings were. But there's not like really much to go over besides like maybe sharing all the things I'm doing incorrectly, because I'm sure there's a lot when it comes to someone who looks at this would be like, yo, there's better things you could have done with the lighting and all that. But listen, in my defense, this is a travel shoot and we couldn't find a proper room to film everything in. So the only room we could and we ended up utilizing was this it's like their kind of quote unquote restaurant space, and half the building is just like a tent flap. And so we tried our best to, it's got like the clear what would you call it, like a tarp, but it's like a clear tarp in the middle, so all the sunlight comes in. So we were doing our best to try to block with the tablecloth. We were trying to block all the light coming in from most of those windows through the tarp, and then the wind would kick in and it would blow against the tarp and stuff like that. So we couldn't, yeah, we didn't have properly like sound controlled room or light controlled room, but there literally was no other options. Like there's not many, they limit the amount of human facilities, right? So majority of the island is meant for the chimpanzees. So there's not much when it comes to like physical buildings besides like where the staff's quarters, the veterinarian clinic, which is not large enough to do an interview as well, or at least not in this kind of format. And also even then it's like you're gonna have to shoot with like a lot of sound everywhere. So yeah, we landed on this one at least because there's enough space to kind of create some nice details in the background, and we had some couches we can use. But yeah, I struggled mightily trying to get this all set up, but I'm happy with the results. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, we even bought like that crazy smoke machine. So I bought a whole epic portable smoke machine that we're going to use for like the haze effect. So then I can turn on the haze, and so then we can have the shot look even more cinematic. Unfortunately, because of the open tarp window situation, all the haze would blow away instantly. So annoying. Ugh. Anyways, okay, so I don't know if there's anything worth sharing from this because all it's showing is that I shot with the R3D NE codec in the log 3G10 format, 4K 24 frames, and I filmed for how long? From 2 hours and 5 minutes. So I did about an hour of filming. I didn't have any battery issues or things like that, or like overheating issues or anything. Yeah, it just shows that I was shooting in the ISO low, the base of 800, and I had the microphone set to 18. But yeah, yeah, and also just the fact that it's keeping the autofocus, which is good, right? So it's showing that obviously it was keeping the eye focus the whole time. But yeah, there's not really much here that I think I need to share, so we'll probably end up skipping this. Oh yeah, this is when we were trying to use the freaking smoke machine. Let's see. Okay, let's start the interview. It'll just be simple questions. Everything should be okay. Yeah, so here's that smoke machine. And it literally it would just blow away instantly. You would just see like, yeah, it's like kind of starting to fill in, and then the wind comes in, knocks it all out of the room. So we eventually just gave up. Oh my god, Jesus Christ. I'm gonna sit over here.
As I grew up, I admired working with wildlife. And so I was in school, joined the wildlife club, and then from school I would visit the former zoo, which is in Entebbe, and it is from Entebbe that I had that special connection with primates. And I looked forward to any opportunity that would come so that I would join the caregiving team. And I did not know about Ngamba Island by then. So one day, I went back to Entebbe, and Actually, from 2006, starting as a volunteer and later becoming a full-time caregiver.
Yeah, so I was testing out the shotgun mics on this one as well. But like I said, I didn't have the wind muff or like the dead cat. We didn't find it until the last day. So unfortunately, you'll hear like the wind sounds and stuff. So it wasn't like a proper test outside.
I would have had a favorite chimpanzee, but I treat all chimpanzees the same. I remember when I joined the sanctuary, Rambo was my favorite. And just because he used to spin, he was more playful, all the time wanted to play with me, so he had become my favorite. When he's here at the sanctuary, where the other...
So yeah, I'm not sure.
The canines have been filed down or to try and get her out of her shell to be able to interact and socialize with others.
So you can literally hear the sound of the waves crashing outside. So not the best room to do an interview, at least. But thankfully, I mean, obviously it wasn't the worst thing because like I have a lav mic, I had it connected to the DJI mic too and stuff. So that's the one that we ultimately use. But
Other chimpanzees, but also with us as the primary caregivers and to be able to.
okay, let's keep looking.
So we are still going in the east side of the corridor.
Yeah.
Wait for the train.
Okay, so at least here now. Oh, this is perfect. Because one thing, that's what I was asking questions to ChatGPT earlier, is I don't remember which of my footages did I capture with like the shotgun mic versus the built-in microphone, and it's not showing up in the metadata. Maybe it'll show up if I use the Red Cine X Pro software, but it's just so much work. And at the very least here I can see, thanks to the BTS, that in this early morning footage on the 31st, I was using no microphone, no external microphone, just the built-in. So then I should be able to, yeah, we should be able to, what would you say? Triangulate. I should be able to at least identify some of these footages and see how the audio quality was. So let's see here. I'm going to drop down the audio here. Jesus, yeah, it's going to be... Okay, let's just tie this one up now since we have it here. This was from the 31st. And there's some good audio coming in. So let's see if we can map it up. It's the 31st in the morning based on the lighting situation here. And can I see what I filmed this at? This was at, oh Christ. Oh yeah, okay, it must be 6K. 6K, come on, tell me what is it? It's either 6K 30 or 6K 60. Come on. Alright, whatever. It's close enough, so let's look at which one this could be. 6K 30 on the 31st. So, 31st... 6K 60, yep, it must be this one. Alright, let's jump to the beginning. I think it must be this one, right? Let's see. 6K 30, 6K 60. We were looking at this one earlier. Yeah, I think that's it, but let me just see. It's the one with a shot of two chimps, one in the front and one in the mid-ground. Is it this one? No, then it's not that. Oh, it is that. Okay, the recording started later. All right, let's check this out then.
reassurance, not mating.
Reassurance.
Sometimes it appears as if it's mating, but for them mating is when the female is swaying.
But what is reassurance? Reassurance that is the female?
Join her.
No, real.
I was yelling at, not yelling, but I was telling Joanna to stop talking. Yeah, because like I was testing out the audio, and then unfortunately, she was asking good questions, right? Because even I was curious because I was like, wait, why are they mating right now? But it wasn't mating because that's a male chimp as well. It's just, and you can hear Innocent, the headkeeper, explaining, but apparently the alpha sometimes will do this as a form of like dominance to like let them know their place. So they're not actually mating or anything, but he's just like in the, what would you say? He's doing the act, or he's doing the motions as if to do that. But it's really just to say like, I own you.
They're mating.
Yeah. Anyways, I got enough good quality there. We're not going to show all of that anyway. So I think all of this right there, I think this is a good example because, and I'll spend a bit of time, so I might normalize the levels a bit, drop down some of the kind of like the crazier parts. But I think this is it. So then this one lines up with that shot. And so I'll say showing, which one was it? Showing monitor display in record with small rig. Me shooting tunnel for audio capture. Built-in audio capture. Has accompanying ZR shot with excellent audio. You know what? And also, let's see how it looks once we do the color correction. So this is a question from Nico from a while ago. I think Nico was asking how easy is it to do the color grading with the red codec. So again, like I said, it's as simple as the fact that I can just right click this and I can apply my grade and it's done, right? So just like that, we've applied, and it looks fancy, but it's not really. It's just I have all these placeholder nodes that I created for like the editing structure. And the first node is where it's essentially converting from the color space and the gamma of the red format into the editing format within DaVinci before we eventually export it out to Rec 709. But then yeah, we get this shot. Let's just play it again. I think it's rendering is taking too long. 1 second.
They're mating.
It's a reassurance.
Sorry?
It's It's a reassurance, not making.
Right, huh?
It's a reassurance, not making.
Ah, reassurance.
Sometimes it appears as if it's making.
Okay, that's good. We like it. Let me turn this. Okay, so I think that's a good example. Obviously, let's keep mapping it to what we got. So these ones I probably won't show just because there's so much going on here with the Atomos and all the other products. And we're like trying to hone in on just the camera itself. So, do I want to show this maybe? No. I need some shots where you see me like swapping out lenses and things like that, but I need it without the Atomos and stuff. Because like, again, generally speaking, I don't travel with the Atomos, except for like when I feel like I need to record the behind the scenes, which obviously I needed to for this one for like product review stuff. But generally speaking, it's like, I don't need it for practical terms. It's just for this shoot. So, oh yeah, maybe this could be interesting. It's okay. Okay. All right, then I'll turn this off for now. All right. Yeah, thank you. So oh, but there's some brands here that we don't want to show. Okay. Well, I can always crop in maybe, but yeah, essentially this is the behind the scenes. So, we were filming, like I was mentioning earlier. All of the side of this building is just an opening, and then they have this canvas tarp that will, keep the bugs out. And there's a crazy amount of bugs there, like all the lake flies. And so within each of these tarps, they have that like a massive opening, which is covered by the, I don't know whatever it's called, but it's see-through. And so all the light comes through there. So to try to kind of reduce all the lighting, we ended up using a bunch of tablecloth and trying to tie it up as much as possible to block everything, but it still just wasn't good enough. Like we ultimately did clean up a lot of this, but then because it was like pretty windy, it would push everything over. There's like an opening. There's no way to like close all the openings. So yeah, we did what we could, but maybe one of these shots. Okay, and I think we've basically listened to all of the soundtrack from this one. Point is, we love lens distortions. If you're watching this right now, lens distortions somehow, because of how amazing and popular we are as a streamer, just know that we love you guys, and sponsor me, please. Okay, so let's just jump back to our normal kind of music here as we go through some of this. So I'm just looking for shots. Again, I kind of need to pick out shots where you don't see other brands. So like the Polar Pro stuff, ideally, we don't show that. Avocado. Is that like avocado? Avocado. I'm just going to call you Avocado for now. Avocado, hey, I had a question. Do you transform it to Rec 709 just after color correction? Or do you color grade in DaVinci color space itself? I am new to color grading and correction. Well, firstly, thank you very much for asking the question, for being in the chat. I believe you are here for the first time, or I haven't recognized your name before, so thank you for also, enjoying the stream, hopefully. So to your question, my first oh, thank you. What just happened? Thank you very much for the follow, Avicardo. Let me know if it's okay if I call you Avocado for now. But thank you very much, Av. For the follow. Appreciate it. We are new to streaming. This is our 51st day of streaming. We streamed 46 days in a row before we ended up taking 2 weeks off as we were filming this project for the new Nikon ZR that's going to launch. I don't know when, but it got announced a few days ago. So I was fortunate to be a part of that pre-release testing of the camera. So we're kind of going over some of the footage there. So I'm not as familiar with this new codec, but yeah, just keep that in mind. And also disclaimer, I am not a professional. I try my best to be professional, but I'm fairly new to video. I think it's about 2 years that I've been doing video editing more professionally, or trying to. So with that disclaimer, You're asking, do I transform it to Rec 709 just after color correction, or do I color grade in DaVinci itself? So yes, I normally do the... Okay, so this is kind of how I set it up. Let me hide this thing. Let's just go full screen for a second. So let's go into like an actual shot that I took. All right. So let's assume like one of these footages. I'll just show from the beginning, right? So actually, no, let's take one of the... Let's get one of the gorilla shots. Okay, we'll do this one. This one looks cool. Okay, so I couldn't get avocado yet. I have to go. I will join tomorrow. No worries, Nico. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being the first one to send a message in the chat as well. I appreciate it, and thanks for sending that video to your brother. I appreciate it. Avocado. I couldn't get avocado yet. Okay. Anyways, AV. I'll just call you AV for now. So this is my entire workflow usually. So let's say I have this raw. In this case, this is now in that new red codec. I would go into my gallery and I have a power grade that I've created. So it's as simple as me just applying that power grade. But you can ignore most of these things because your question's more on the color, like the conversions, right? So when I do my workflow, the first node is where I convert it from whatever the raw codec or the raw input color space and the gamma is. So in this case, this footage was captured in... Let me just hide that. It was captured as a red wide gamut RGB and the log 3G10. And so then I essentially converted it to DaVinci wide gamut and DaVinci intermediates for the gamma. So I do that conversion here first. And then within all of this space here is where I do all the color corrections and the grading and everything. I think people use the term grading differently, right? So maybe at the very least, I do all the color correction stuff here, like the standard stuff. So everything from adjusting the white balance or the exposure, the curves, if I need to adjust the contrast, the saturation, if I want to change any of the colors, all of that I will do in the color space. Sorry, I'll do it all here first after I've converted it into DaVinci wide gamut and intermediate. But this is before I've converted to Rec 709. So then, after I've done all these corrections, then I have a node here towards the end where I will convert it from the DaVinci's color space and gamut into the output color space of Rec 709 and the output gamma of gamma 2.4. So then I do end up doing some additional grading. And so yeah, to your point of saying, yeah, grading is more artistic and personal. So for the more artistic and personal, I don't oftentimes do it. I'm doing a bit more and more, but I do have a few nodes that I've set aside for me to do all of the color grading. So then, sorry, it took me a while to get to the answer because I also needed to figure this out for myself. The additional color grading I will do after I've converted it into Rec 709. So it's imagine in this workflow, it's been converted back to Rec 709, and then I might use one of these nodes afterwards to adjust. So for instance, I'm a big fan of lens distortions. So I might use one of lens distortions. Let's say I use one of their LUTs. I will do it after the 709 conversion. So here's what it looks like here. So you can see the before and then after. And then, yeah, I might drag this into the LUT, let's say, as an example. And there you go. So, yeah. Hopefully that answers your question. I'm going to be honest, like I said, though, I haven't done a lot when it comes to, like, the more artistic gradings within, like, a LUT format or, like, anything else. It's only very recent that I started doing that more often. Generally speaking, I tended to just work within the color correction itself. So, like, I would... Because I do a lot of wildlife. So, with wildlife, you know, you have to be careful, right? Because if you shoot a lot of wildlife and if you do too much artistic stuff, you take away from the natural look. And almost by nature of it, by virtue of it being wildlife related, you kind of want to maintain the realism of the shot. So by doing like crazy black and white or doing some crazy whatever, like, you know, you just have to keep that in mind, I guess. So generally speaking, I will usually just kind of play with the curves more than anything else. So like this is like an example of what I might end up doing. More than any other feature or like adjustments, it might just be doing a white balance and then just kind of like playing with the curves to just see if I have the right amount of like, you know, if I want a really dark shot or increase the contrast, lifting the shadows, that kind of thing. And that's like, honestly, this is majority of the times that's all I would do. Now I'm having more fun with it in terms of like trying to play with these LUTs. I do want to create my own LUTs eventually because, you know, what's the point of being a YouTuber showing all the video editing stuff you do if you don't have your own LUTs? You know what I mean? So you got to sell yourself somehow. But yeah, anyways, now I do want to play more with these kind of LUTs. So you can see here, then we'll apply this the one from Lens Distortions.
But the kit is so big now.
And then also another thing we've been using recently, and actually this is a good chance to, okay, AV, I'm going to promote two things at you right now, okay? Just bear with me because we're trying to do our best at being shameless with promoting ourselves. So the first thing I'm going to send in a link is !promo. This is going to take you, hopefully, if my internet's been spotty here, but hopefully it takes you to a link. And you know what? I see that it didn't send on the Twitch side. Jesus. Okay, let me just do it directly. Here we go. !promo. Why is that not working? I'll type it in the... Okay, there we go. So the first link that I'm sending across, it is a link to my 5-minute YouTube video. This is all shot with the new Nikon ZR. And so I released this to obviously promote what I was able to capture with the ZR. And if you check it out, hopefully you'll enjoy it. But then you also see the different levels of like more of the, like you said, the more grading things that I did. I didn't do it for the entire film, but there are points in the film that I do apply a bit of like more artistic look and feel. Secondly, I'm going to put another link in the chat for a program called dehancer. So dehancer is a program I recently discovered because someone reached out to me from the company and asked if I'd be willing to test it out. And so basically I've been testing it out on stream. So we've been having fun when I was streaming where I actually show what it looks like. And then there's a number of people in the chat who are very, very experienced with like video editing and stuff like that. So they also would give advice or help me understand different film emulation software features. So I ended up using a lot of dehancer as well in my final shots. So we do, I mean, I say we, but like I do enjoy that look and feel. And so like, let's say here, I'll drag in dehancer into one of these creative nodes. But I'll, again, like to your first question, I'll apply it at the very end. And then I just need to switch it to the correct... Oh, you know what? Technically, this should be in Rec 709 then. Ooh, I might have been doing something correctly. Okay, so let's say it's in Rec 709. And then... let's go with that Fujifilm 3513 print film. But yeah, basically I've been having fun learning how to use this dehancer program where you can essentially just adjust the different looks, and it's all supposed to like emulate film quality, right? So like the old school film. Which one should we try? Okay, so let's say we go with this one, and then we can also turn on the halation and the bloom effects and all that fun stuff. So yeah, now we're adding a bit of grain and noise, like some of the noise and like the halation and stuff like that. So now I've been having a bit more fun with it, but generally speaking, it's not something I've been familiarizing myself with in the beginning. I am now because it's part of the learning process for sure. But you'll see it in the final video. So if you check out that YouTube video, and let me see if I can just quickly pop open on my side. Final, here it is. Okay. So this is the video, right? It's not going to look proper because I just exported this in a certain format. So it's going to look super dark here, right?
Presence is not presence.
Ignore that for now.
To live together.
Actually, one second. Let me see. Here, I'm going to show this one. I think this is the YouTube version that I did. So it should be a bit brighter on the screen.
When when a chimp approaches you.
Okay, so all of this, AV, I didn't apply
You are the
any
guest.
color grading to this in the sense of how you were saying it. All of this was just the color corrections where I played around with everything before converting it to Rec 709. And then as for like any LUTs or anything, I don't think I applied anything to that color grading side of things. So I left it as is. But obviously I do spend a lot of time trying to get the colors correct, and I can share the behind the scenes as well, but I do spend time like trying to mask things and get the colors properly adjusted. But outside of that, I think I kept it as is. And then for these shots, these ones I did use dehancer and I think lens distortions to get the looks where you can see a lot of like bloom and halation or this kind of like illumination with some of the animals here.
Island, we practice balance so the world can keep its footing.
So like these shots.
Everything here is a lesson in balance.
So yeah, all of this, I did apply a bit of that color grading, and it's all after Rec 709.
My name is Dr. Joshua Rukundo. I am a wildlife veterinarian, and I've been working at...
And then, speaking of the dehancer, so these ones I used the LUTs from lens distortions. Okay, so then here was all, I think, a mix of lens distortions and then the dehancer effect.
We currently have 55 chimpanzees.
So all of this now, there's a bit more noise and like...
Number Island is a 100-acre island. About 95, maybe 96% of it is cordoned off to give them their own space. And that space from the beginning was forested, but of course the forest has grown richer. Typically, the chimps spend the entire day in the forest.
And then here I switch back to more like normal mode, so you don't get that noise effect or anything like that. And then there's one more section I wanted to show you. This one. Yeah, so then here, same thing. I didn't apply like any of the film look besides adding that glow, halation, bloom effect. But that was like a creative choice, I guess. So you can see here, even like the eye is glowing a bit.
In the beginning,
So-
the biggest challenge was the pet trade. The challenges have been evolving since then. The human population is going up. The habitat for the chimpanzees is shrinking rapidly. In Uganda, we lose about 20 to 25,000 hectares of natural forest every year. By the time I joined, the number of chimpanzees was going down at an alarming rate. There was a very, very big fear.
Now this is super dramatic, so I was really happy with the shot. Because obviously we're trying to match the mood of what we're seeing or what he's saying, the narrator. Now one thing, because I'm nitpicking now, there's one frame in this where because of that effect that I'm applying, like the dehancer stuff, you'll see the color switch slightly for one frame.
In 20 years, we would not have.
Let's see.
They would move from being vulnerable to extinct.
Right there, right there. It gets a little bit like more magenta for a second. Okay, I don't know if I can stop at the right spot. Anyways, I'm just nitpicking here. AV, you're asking how long have you been shooting wildlife? So I've been doing mostly I started with wildlife photography back in, I think it was maybe right before COVID. So I think right before lockdowns and stuff. So let's call it 2019 is I think when I went on my first wildlife photography trip where I actually had, I was able to borrow from Nikon. I had a D5 with the 400 millimeter f2.8 for the D5, like, so it was all DSLR based. But yeah, that was the first time I ever got to shoot with that. I went to Kenya for like a Nikon sponsored trip, essentially. I say sponsored, but it's like a trip for like other Nikon photographers. And I loved it. So then that was 2019. Then all of 2020 there was lockdown, so no travels. And then 2021 I started going back on some travels for wildlife. But then also I started getting more into video around then. So let's call it around 2022 is when I started being more into like video over photo. And then by 2023 and onwards, I essentially committed myself to being like, I'm a videographer first now. So when I'm traveling, my camera is always in video mode first, and then I'll just make sure to take some photos here and there. But video is like my main interest right now to develop my skills there. So let's call it about 2 to 3 years that I've been shooting wildlife in video mode. For photo and everything, it's been about 5 years, let's say. But yeah, it's been fun. I love wildlife photography. I love wildlife filmmaking now. And so if you check out my YouTube channel or even on my Instagram, it's you'll see it's a lot to do with wildlife. I think one thing over time that I'm like, you know, as I hopefully keep evolving and discovering more of what my deeper passions are, I love wildlife, but I think it's more just the fact that I love things that help draw emotions easily. And wildlife is one of those that's one, very unpredictable. So what you see is what you get. You shoot the moment or you don't. You don't know what you'll get, that kind of stuff. And there's something really exciting about that. But then also it's just, I think animals connect with people very easily, right? It's like you see a chimpanzee in front of you. It doesn't even have to be doing anything, but just the way it's looking, it's mesmerizing. It's the same way that I think cat videos and dog videos rule the internet, right? Because everyone just connects with these animals, and there's something about it that it could be the most boring film ever of a cute kitten, but you're still gonna enjoy it. And so there's this weird affinity or connection that we have to like wild animals. So filming it helps draw emotion from people who watch it. And I love that anything I create can have a positive emotion from people. But at the same time, it's not just wildlife. I think obviously there are ways to tell stories around anything, any topic. And for me, traveling, I love traveling. And one of the best things about traveling is you get to see and discover different cultures, different ways of life, different things that no one else can see except a small percentage of people. And if you're one of those that's privileged enough to travel and have the gear to capture those moments and that you can share with the rest of the world, I think that's really cool. And it's almost like a waste not to be able to share those stories. So yeah, I think I'm starting to go more into like documentary style. I would love to, even if you look at some of my recent videos around Mongolia. So I just published a video, episode 1 of my first time in Mongolia. And that one I treated more, it's still like a travel vlog, but it's capturing a lot of like the way of life of the people that live there, while I'm also focusing on the wild eagles that they essentially, they capture at a young age, and then there's like a symbiotic relationship for a while as they hunt with the eagles. And so you do still see animals in the videos that I make, but it doesn't always have to be the priority. So, and then this one's a good example where it's a mix of both, right? So in my storytelling, obviously it's about these chimpanzees, but it's also, you're hearing the narrator throughout, you're hearing, you're hearing the mission. What is it about humanity? And it's literally a balance. The short film is about balance between human and nature and wildlife. So yeah, anytime I can tell stories that kind of mixes in human elements with the wild elements, I'm happy. So we're trying to get there, right? So this video that I shared, the 5-minute video, that's our first attempt at trying to be like a professional documentary style filmmaker. And so again, huge shout out to Nikon for letting me test this out with this new camera. And I do really strongly believe that the camera helped me feel professional. And sometimes that's all you need, right? So anyways, there was my TED Talk. But good to have you, AV. I think a lot of what we try to do is collect other content creators, artists, photographers, videographers within this chat and this community. Because yeah, I will always like to learn from each other. And if there are times, you'll see it throughout these streams. Sundays are usually a bit quieter, but you'll see as people pop in, we have some people on the chat who are like super, super well versed around everything about videography. We have people who know everything about audio technology and like microphones and things, and they help set up all my microphones and my audio stuff. And then we've had people who are like just they collect every gear in the world, right? So very, very easy and fun to learn from each other in this community. So AV, if you'd like to join our Discord, let me go ahead and pop that into the chat as well. We've started our Discord, and so I think, man, I feel like I'm having issues with my connection though. Hopefully you see the little link that just popped up. But yeah, feel free to join the Discord. One, it's a community of other, like I said, content creators, artists, and photographers, videographers, everything in between. And so hopefully we can learn from each other. 2, you can also share your content so we can promote and support each other. So feel free to like share what you're working on. And also 3, if you want to share something, I can show it on the screen during my streams, or if you want me to edit stuff, we can get into that world at some point. And then 4, it will let you know anytime I go live. I do go live every day. That's been the goal since I started this streaming journey. We're on day 51. Unless there's a reason I can't stream, like there's a project or something, like what's happened in the past 2 weeks, you should see me on here every day. Usually we stream about 7 to 8 hours almost every day. For the next week or so, it's probably going to be closer to like 2 to 3 hours per day, just because I have to catch up on some other work stuff. But thank you for being here. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for the follow as well. And yeah, if you would ever like to share your work, let us know. Because you said you are a, what did you say? Let me see. You're new to color grading and correction. So it sounds like you are also an aspiring filmmaker, which is perfect. Yeah. Okay, so where were we though? Let me just minimize this a bit. And then let's jump into our notes. Where did we end up? We said showing monitor display and record. It was me shooting tunnel. Okay, okay. So we were here. And then we moved on to... Must be this one. Okay, yeah. So here's where we were. So right now I'm just trying to look for any of the BTS, the behind the scenes shots that might be useful for my product review. The problem here is, can you see the Polar Pro? I think, yeah, you see the logo. So we'll start from maybe just, it's just be an example, yeah. Taking off the lens cap maybe. And then just shooting. Yeah, so I was trying to cover up logos and stuff, but I forget, why would I put this on? Because we had the shotgun mic. Anyways. I think it's going to be a little too weird to show this shot, because then the question's like, why the hell do you have a neck gaiter on your camera? I guess this one should be easy enough to mask out if I need to show this. Let's see if she has more. Okay. That's better, that's better. Now here, I did have the, because I had the I had Atomos connected here. So, otherwise there shouldn't be any cables. I would have been just filming this without. But in this case, I needed to record the screen. So, I think the shot looks okay though. So it shows a little bit of the context. But it wasn't actually recording. Let's see if she took... I don't think she took any when I was actually recording, though. Okay, this is better. Okay, let's save this one. So what did I have this on? I had it on focus and front mode. Okay. But yeah, this is basically what we had to do. We had to put these tablecloths. I think we ended up using almost like all of their tablecloths, I feel. I felt bad, but yeah, so we then had to set it all up along the windows and hope that it removed as much of the light as possible so we can introduce our own light. Okay, these are going to be some cool shots. So these ones I should be able to show. So let me highlight this. So basically we went on this boat to film the chimps, because the chimps throughout the day, they basically just wander around majority of the island, just do their thing. But they do these patrols around the island to like monitor for any threats, which is kind of funny because if they know they're on an island, there's no other There's nothing to threaten them. But anyways, so we go on this boat, and they meet up at one of these shorelines. And so when the chimps see that the boat's approaching, they will also approach the shoreline, because they're expecting maybe like the keepers here are there to give them food. So so then as a tourist like myself, I can actually film some nice close-ups of the chimps. Okay, let's check out some of these shots. Oh, another thing that I learned, which I'm assuming for most, like for actual filmmakers, this is like obvious to them, but I didn't know until this trip. So shout out to, I think his name's Mohammed. Is it Reza? I forget the last name. I apologize to you, Mohammed, out there. But he's like a fellow creator. But he's like actually knows his shit, right? He knows all the video stuff. So anyways, I was chatting with him beforehand, and he taught me about the concept of shutter angle. And actually, we're going to ask this to ChatGPT. I didn't know about this concept. So in my world, I thought like, okay, I understand the concept of the shutter rule, where if you're filming at a certain frame rate, in this case, for instance, we're filming at 60 frames per second. That means I need to set my shutter speed to 1/2 times that frame rate. So it should be 1/2 times 60. So that means if you're shooting 60 frames per second, you should shoot close to 1/120. And I think the closest usually is 1/125. So then, anyways, that's what I would do. If I'm shooting 60, then I have to quickly adjust the shutter speed, and then I film at 1/125. However, he told me like, yo, you don't have to do that. You can just set your shutter angle. If the camera has a mode where instead of choosing shutter speed, you can choose shutter angle, then you just select 180 degrees. And this is like some kind of old school terminology or like back in the day, whatever. But essentially, this means that your camera will automatically choose the correct shutter speed of your camera at all times, no matter what frame rate you change it to. Which was like, yo, that is music to my ears. Because then I do change frame rates all the time when I'm shooting. So to not have to like fumble around with like an extra setting, like having to adjust the shutter speed every single time, that's like a... Man, because the amount of times I end up losing a shot just from the time it takes for me to change it from 60 frames to 120 frames, and then like, oh shoot, that means now I have to change it to 1/250 shutter speed, and then boom, the moment's gone. To not have to worry about any of that and just focus on changing the frame rate, that's beautiful. So yeah, that's this shutter angle, and we're gonna ask ChatGPT in a second. So AV, you're asking what is a shutter angle? Yeah, so don't listen to me. We're going to ask ChatGPT now, and it'll be more fun anyways. Hold on 1 second. Failed to start. Okay, hopefully you guys can still hear me, because I'm seeing that my something deactivated. Let's check. Let me monitor my stream real quick. Can you guys still hear me? Testing, testing. Dun, dun, dun. Did my internet go? You can hear me? Can you see me? Or let me see, testing. At least on my restream, it's saying to activate chat, please enable channels here. And then my internet, I think, dropped. Okay, no, internet's fine. It's okay. Okay, AV, can I just ask you a question? Can you hear me right now? And can you see my screen? Testing. It could just be a restream thing. Yeah, I can see. Okay, cool. I appreciate that. All right, so I'm just gonna... We're gonna ask about the shutter angle from ChatGPT. Let me pause the music real quick. Assuming this works too. Failed to start voice mode. Hello, hello. Testing, testing. Why did my internet just destroy itself? Hey, Amber, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. I'm right here and ready whenever you are.
Cool. I have a quick question for you. We're learning about this concept called shutter angle. Now, as a new filmmaker, I'm used to the concept of the shutter rule, where I'm supposed to double the shutter. I need to make the shutter speed double whatever the frame rate is on the denominator side. However, I learned recently about this concept of shutter angle, and I can just set it to 180 degrees, and that would essentially apply the shutter rule anytime I change the frame rate. But can you help digest and help explain to me the concept of shutter angle?
Absolutely. So, the concept of shutter angle basically comes from the world of traditional film cameras, and it's just another way of controlling how long your camera sensor or film is exposed to light. When you set your camera to a 180-degree shutter angle, what that means is that the exposure time is always going to be half the duration of each frame. In other words, it automatically follows that shutter rule you mentioned. If you're shooting at 24 frames per second, the shutter speed will be about 1/48th of a second. If you switch to 60 frames per second, it'll automatically adjust the shutter speed to 120th of a second. So it's just a nice, flexible way to keep the same motion blur look regardless of your frame rate. It takes the guesswork out of having to manually change your shutter speed every time you change frame rates. And it's a pretty standard filmmaking practice.
So then, if I changed it from 180 to like a lower degree or a higher degree, what exactly would I expect to see happening? Like, let's say if I, instead of 180 degrees, if I drop it to whatever is the lowest, can I drop it to like, let's say 5 degrees? What would happen?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you lower the shutter angle below 180 degrees, you're basically shortening the amount of time each frame is exposed to light. And what that does is it makes the motion look a lot more choppy or stuttered because there's less motion blur. So for example, if you drop it down to something really low, like 5 degrees, you're going to get a very crisp, almost staccato look to any movement, and it's going to feel a bit unnatural and really kind of jittery. On the flip side, if you increase the shutter angle above 180 degrees, then you're giving each frame a longer exposure time, and you're going to get more motion blur and a more fluid, kind of dreamy look. So yeah, changing the shutter angle is really just about how much motion blur you want. Lower angle, less blur, more of that choppy look, higher angle, more blur, and a smoother look.
Okay, so let's say I want to do one of those shots where I want it to look very dreamy, right? So I think generally it might be something where you set your shutter speed to like, I don't know, 1/8 of a second, something like that. 1/10 of a second maybe for the shutter speed. And then when you film, it's supposed to make it look very, very motion blurry. What would I need to set the shutter angle to get that effect?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want that super dreamy effect with a lot of motion blur, you're basically going to set a much larger shutter angle. In terms of angle, that might be something like 270 degrees or even closer to 360 degrees if your camera allows it. Basically, the bigger the angle, the longer the sensor is exposed and the more blur you're going to get. So if you think about it like a fraction, when you want that really slow shutter speed, like 1/8 of a second, you're basically giving each frame a ton of time to gather light. A big shutter angle like 270 or something close to that will help you achieve that. Just keep in mind that in really bright conditions, you might need ND filters so you don't overexpose. But yeah, just crank that shutter angle way up and you'll get that lovely dreamy blur.
Okay, well, hopefully, AV, hopefully that answered it for you. I still don't actually know the physical, like, what is a shutter angle? Like, visually, I would like to know what that actually means, of like how the technology works. But yeah, in the, at least the layman's perspective, or like just the most important information you need to know is that if your camera has this option, so where it replaces, where you don't have to choose shutter speed, you can choose shutter angle, then you just set it to 180 degrees and it takes all the guesswork out. You literally just always know that it's capturing the proper motion blur that, you know, for most circumstances. And then you can adjust it from there to do like things more creatively, but really you just set it at 180 and forget about it. So this camera does have that, which also I need to take a note of that. So let's say has shutter angle feature. But yeah, now again from my side, I apologize because I'm having some issues both with my internet and like with my restream. So for instance, on restream, it seems like I'm not able to activate my chat right now. It's like leading me down an infinite loop. So Hopefully you can still hear me, and I'll just like chat. I'll type directly into Twitch or YouTube and stuff as needed. Avocado, you said, what's your opinion on the Nikon P900? I have zero opinions because I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with it. Let me look it up. Nikon P900. So the Nikon gear that I use. Oh, the Coolpix. Wait, I think I do know about. I know one about. I know something about one of these Coolpix cameras because I did a trip to India for snow leopards, and it's so difficult to film or photograph snow leopards, right? Because they're so far away. And so I think I was borrowing a 600mm f4 lens, I think, from Nikon to try to shoot the snow leopards. But it was a lot of like unfortunate circumstances with the weather, and it wasn't working in our favor. So it was really tough to get super close shots. But either way, I noticed that a bunch of the people there were shooting with the Coolpix. And because it has a crazy optical zoom, right? So I'm not sure if it's the exact same one that you're talking about. So let's double check on this one. The Coolpix P900. But yeah, I did see that. I was like, yo, this technology is insane. I was like, why am I spending so much money for my 600mm or like these telephoto lenses? And then you got this thing that's like doing a 2000mm equivalent, you know? You said, yeah, I bought it. They are in quite shy, yeah. Advanced shooters will appreciate the outstanding image quality and DSLR styling, a sure grip, a swiveling vari-angle display, high-resolution electronic viewfinder, turns on automatically, will lift it to your eye. Okay. Yeah, so like honestly, I can't tell you. Actually, I might ask ChatGPT this as well. But I was wondering, like, am I shooting with the wrong lens? Like, is it better to shoot with something like this Coolpix if I want to shoot subjects that are that far away? And then my question would be like, oh, is it just because the quality, the resolution, or the sensor's not as large, or, you know, do you end up with something not so good, even if you can capture from a distance? But it's like, I don't know. I have no idea. But all I know is that a bunch of them had them, and you can zoom in so crazy. And I was like, holy. Meanwhile, I was shooting with like a 600 lens, which is massive, heavy. On the tripod, it could shake, you know, just ever so slightly. Yeah. Okay, interesting. We might have to ask ChatGPT about this one. Can you tell me more about a camera like the Coolpix P900? And is that actually a camera that I should be using when it comes to trying to film wildlife like snow leopards or other animals where they're so far away? Because in the past, I've done a few trips where I use like a 400 or a 600mm lens, but as you can imagine, when the leopards or the animals are so far away, there's just a tiny pixel on your screen. Is the Coolpix P900 an example of something where I can like do some crazy amount of zoom to see these faraway subjects in pretty clear resolution?
Yeah, so the Coolpix P900 is kind of a legend when it comes to super zoom bridge cameras. It has this crazy 83x optical zoom, which is the equivalent of something like 2000 millimeters on a full frame lens. So yeah, you can definitely zoom in on really distant subjects like snow leopards and get them a lot closer in the frame than you would with a standard telephoto lens. Now, the trade-off is that even though you get that huge zoom range, the P900 has a smaller sensor compared to something like your Nikon Z9 or other mirrorless cameras. That means in low light, or if you really want super high image quality, it's not going to match a larger sensor camera with a high-end telephoto lens. But if your main goal is just to get that reach and actually see the animal clearly when it's really far away, the P900 can definitely help you do that. It's kind of like a specialty tool for those extreme zoom situations. So yeah, it could be a fun addition to your kit if you just want that crazy zoom capability.
Now, what do professionals use? Let's say if you're like a National Geographic filmmaker, would you opt for like an 800mm lens and hope that you can get close enough? Or would you opt for something like the Coolpix where you can actually get a clear shot from a far distance?
Yeah, so when it comes to the professionals, especially folks working for something like National Geographic, they pretty much always go for those big high-end telephoto prime lenses, like your 600 millimeter, 800 millimeter, or even those huge 1200 millimeter lenses. And they might pair them with teleconverters to get even more reach. The reason is that those lenses are just going to give you the best possible image quality, especially in challenging lighting conditions or when you need really high resolution detail. A camera like the Coolpix P900 is more of a fun or niche tool for enthusiasts, or maybe and the backup option if you just want a lightweight zoom. But for professional filmmakers, they're almost always going to choose the top tier glass because the image quality is just unbeatable. Plus, those prime lenses work better in low light and give you that really professional, crisp look that you want in a wildlife documentary.
Okay. Well, we learned something today. AV, you said the issue with the P900 is it's not that amazing for video. Oh, okay, okay. The zoom is good, but camera is heavy. It's around 2 kgs. Gotcha. Well, I mean, compare that to like when I'm shooting with like my Z9, which is pretty heavy, and then you've got attached like a 400 or 600 lens. I mean, that's well over 2 kgs, so yeah. Trade-offs, trade-offs. So you said you just bought it, though. Nice, nice. I think right now, the camera that I would recommend is definitely this one, the Nikon ZR. So whenever it launches, I don't know when, but it's super light. It's only 630 grams. Including the battery. What else? So it's lighter than my Z6 III that I'm shooting right now. It is cheaper, right? It's $2,200, which is like way cheaper than like the competitors out there. And I feel like it does, in so many circumstances, it does a job as it's like comparable, if not better, in some features, as like what you would expect with like the Sony FX3 or the other ones that are like $3,000 to $4,000. So I think right now it's like you get the best bang for your buck if you buy one of these guys. Okay, so basically I'm just trying to see all the behind the scenes here. What can I use? Anything that kind of shows how cool the shot was, where we had these chimps lined up. Some of them went into the water as well. It's super cool. So I'm swapping out lenses here. What did I do? Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, some of these low angle shots should be nice. The problem is the person who's shooting this, she was also on a boat. So like trying to get clean shots is, you know, because the boat is obviously rocking back and forth and stuff. So hopefully we have a few moments here that are stable, especially here because you can see the chimp on the left, me on the right. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, we're just gonna lock all of these. Nice. You know what? I really need a travel crew. AV said around a year ago, I'm thinking of upgrading, and Sony was the first choice, but as Nikon has now Red. Ooh, I like what you're saying there. Listen, I mean, obviously, you can't go wrong with any of the major brands. But yeah, obviously, I'm a huge proponent for Nikon. I've been shooting with Nikon gear for the past, you know, whatever, like 5-6 years. I think if you're trying to do more video, yes, you can't go wrong with the Sonys and the Canons and all that. And if anything, they've been known for being really good, exceptional on like Sony or like for video stuff. But I would, if I can push back a little bit, or if I can just put my 2 cents in as a Nikon shooter, I do feel that one thing Nikon always has going for it is that it's got some of the best glass. So when it comes to like the lenses, it's just like the quality of glass is exceptional. And I think part of it is also, I learned more recently, but I believe Nikon is the only one of the major brands that actually produces or like manufactures their own glass. The others outsource it to whomever. So there's just a lot more, like, let's say, quality control and like just, yeah, better quality when it comes to glassware, anecdotally, but I think it's well known. So then as Nikon has started to show, and they're showing more and more, right? Like with the launch of this, with the acquisition of Red, even in the past lineups with like the Nikon Z9, Z8, Z6 III, the fact that they've been investing a lot in like video technology, I think it's testament to the fact that they understand the value of it and that they're committing to like go down that route. And now with this ZR, I feel like, especially with the pricing of this ZR, they are putting themselves in a position where they're saying, we want you to convert. If you're a Sony shooter, if you're a Canon shooter, we're pricing this camera so low that we're basically trying to convince you that it's time now to switch. And they're also, there's an adapter, I forget the term, it's like flange, right? But apparently it has like the shortest flange with something, I don't know what that all means, but basically they also have an adapter for anyone who's, let's say, a Sony shooter. You are able to use your Sony glass on the new ZR with that very, very thinnest flange thing adapter. So yeah, apparently you can also switch over and not worry about the fact that you have all this existing lens. And then the hope is that Nikon will continue producing a bunch of beautiful glass for the cinema line. So then, yeah, you'll have some cinema lenses to go with the cinema camera, and they'll continue. Here's the thought, right? This ZR is really powerful, but it's also like powerful, but within like a prosumer model, right? So like they're not shooting at 16-bit, right? It is a 12-bit within that Red codec. Beautiful, right? I'm really happy with the quality. But there's like all these other like actual pro cinema features that this camera doesn't necessarily have at the high end, like the 4,000, 5,000 models plus. So then it's like, okay, but it's like packing so much of a punch at $2,200. So I'm also excited to see like, what does this mean for the future? Like when they launch another camera that's, let's say, priced more at the $4,000 to $5,000 range, what can that do, right? Especially with all this Red technology and everything else that Nikon has. So anyways, a lot of speculation, but I think you can't go wrong with any of the brands. But I'm very excited with Nikon right now. Okay, let's continue looking through some of these BTS, see what I can use. Alright, this I don't think I can show. Oh, okay, this I can. Okay, so she knew what she was doing there because, like, the guy was wearing a headset which has, like, a brand on it, so we can't necessarily show that. So I think she punched in a bit here. So let's crop from here, or let's cut it here. Okay, so I think some part of this I should be able to use. Okay. Ooh, here we go. Okay, so we get some nice behind the scenes, me in the foreground. Hopefully, we'll see if it zooms in on the, or if it focuses on the chimps. Not that it needs to. Yeah, even a shot like this is like a nice frame. So this could be a nice frame if I have it for a few seconds. Okay, so we'll tag this one. So you can see everything I do is handheld. So again, I think it's a testament to the quality of this camera. It will be part of my product review where I talk about the whole stabilization aspect of it. But yeah, this camera is meant for someone like me who wants to be a filmmaker. But the things that I film are not necessarily in controlled environments. It's not like I'm filming in a studio or in like certain events where you've got your gimbal and you're, it's not like for weddings and you know exactly what you're supposed to film when and how. Here it's like you hop on a boat, you don't know where the wildlife's going to be. Maybe they come up close, maybe they're far away. There's a lot of motion and everything. So really it is just about holding the camera in your hands, trying to balance, making adjustments as you go. But yeah, it's a run and gun style. And so I felt like the camera did really, really decent job when it comes to stabilizing the footage through the in-body image stabilization. And then even when it is shaky, because like if you see it in real time, it still looks shaky. But then once I put it through DaVinci and I, you know, apply some of the stabilization, that's like, boom, it's all gone. Okay, so I think this also works. What is that face I'm making? Oh, no. Okay. I thought I was making a face because of the lighting on me. Okay, let's claim this one. Okay, I'll keep this one. I don't know if I can use it because of that headset, but maybe there's no branding, so it should be fine. One of the most annoying things about this trip was the fact that like I didn't know until later, because it's not like I have these opportunities so often, right? But I didn't know I needed to not wear clothes that have any brands on them, like logos or anything like that. So thankfully I brought some gaffer tape or whatever, so then I would try to cover up logos and stuff. And this one, technically this whole outfit here has, I don't think you can see logos. And it's like, you can almost imagine why you wouldn't be able to anyways. It's a camouflage outfit. So if you're a brand promoting your camouflage outfit, but if your logo is pretty visible, I feel like it defeats the purpose of camouflage. So yeah, thankfully I didn't have anything on this entire outfit, so I wore this for a little bit here to cover any logos. But then on the downside, it meant that it was pretty sunny out, so you're just like sweating in this. Not the most enjoyable. Okay, these are good shots. Okay. Now I do have the Polar Pro ND filter on the front, but maybe they won't care. We'll see. Okay, here I don't have it. The irony is I'm looking the other way. But the lighting is good here. Okay, nice. Cool. All right. So these are all nice shots. We'll probably end up using almost all of it, or at least all the different settings of them. Oh, hey, Brendan. I don't know when you sent this message. I apologize because, Brendan, I see your message, but my chat is down right now, or my restream chat. For some reason, it's not connecting to my platforms. So I'm just seeing your message. And I apologize. I don't know. I literally can't even see when you sent it. Let me just read it real quick. You said, that's good to know for the workflow since I record a lot for weddings. You said, no worries, man. Love the in-depth streams about your experiences and process. I might have read that, but anyways, I apologize if people are messaging and I'm missing it. I don't know what happened to my messages. So I just have to monitor all the platforms individually. Okay, anyways. Ooh, this is a cool shot. Or the lighting is nice. So let's see. Lighting's nice and the colors are nice. So this is an example of this is shot in NRAW. So I'm a huge fan of NRAW. I've been all my videos I posted on YouTube except for the last one is shot in NRAW. And now with the new camera, obviously the goal is for the red codec. Okay, that's a cool shot. And I do have the accompanying shot for this. So I think something like this could be nice to show. Because I have the shot where I'm filming Innocent at the front of the boat. So let's just save all of these. Or these two. Yes, Kimpop. Good boy. Alright, we're gonna save. I think like all of these shots, for the most part, I should be able to use in our product review. Okay, okay. I think that was most of it. Alright, guys. One, like I said, I'm having some technical difficulties right now, which is very, very annoying. But then also, it's almost 9 p.m. And I did say I'm doing shorter streams for the next few days. Probably for the remaining week. So goal is probably I'll be I'll be streaming about 3 hours or so per day. And then once I catch up on some of the other stuff, I should be able to go back to 7 to 8 hours every day. That's always the goal. I have fun. I have the endurance for it. Yeah, I have a lot of fun with you guys. So, but Sundays, today's a Sunday, and technically Sundays we were meant to do like shorter streams anyways. Sundays always, in my very, very small sample size of less than 2 months of streaming, Sundays always felt like, at least the normal stream hours that I was doing, it's usually a lot quieter, which I don't mind. Like, I can talk to myself too. But it feels like that's also the quietest of the weeks, of all the weekdays. So I think Sundays also works out as a day where I should probably do shorter streams and then catch up with my friends here and there, that kind of stuff. Be social again. Oh yeah, we did catch up with some friends the other day, last night. So I was joking in the chat about like, wish me luck that I will know how to socialize again, because I've been basically just a homebody for the past couple months. I've been dedicating to just like streaming, editing all my stuff. I have a bunch of work-related things that I'm trying to push out. And so we've ultimately sacrificed being a social human being in order to pursue these things. So thankfully I did know how to talk to my friends like a human being. So it was good. It was good seeing people and all that fun stuff. So I do have to remind myself, life is good when you're able to catch up with people. So, oh yeah, we have these product shots. Okay, so we'll go through this tomorrow as well. But yeah, we did spend a little bit of time on the very last day to just get like some typical product shots. So hopefully there's some usable moments here where you can see like the camera and stuff. But also I hope to have my hands on the ZR again soon, so that I could film a few more things with it, including the product review itself. So, okay, yeah, we got some shots. All right, so with all of that said, guys, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being here on day 51. Tomorrow, you've guessed it, it's going to be day 52. And we're going to keep doing that for as long as we can. So thank you guys for being here. I appreciate the new people that I met from today's stream. I hope you guys will keep tuning in as we continue going throughout this streaming journey. All right. I apologize for any tech issues if I've ignored some of the messages. I'm not sure what's going on with my internet. So we'll try to fix that off stream. And then hopefully we won't have any of those problems tomorrow. All right. So with that, thank you guys.